Man, did they change the countdown timer again? Sounds a little different.
Yeah, it does sound different.
That's what happens when
I'm
you're
seeing.
gone. That's
Yeah,
what happens when you're gone for like 3 weeks or
yeah,
a month.
yeah.
So there you go. Anyways, welcome to Shattermare Live, the show episode series, the episodic series podcast. I don't know what we call it. The hangout session that we
The
like to do.
hangout,
Yeah.
the indie comic hangout.
Yeah, something we like to do every now and then, and it's been a while. We're on kind of a hiatus, not for any particular reason, but just because of scheduling and getting everything together. And anyways, it's kind of nice because we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, that's for sure. And just stuff kind of coming up on our feeds or in the media that we see people talking about, or we want to give our take, or jump in on something that I haven't personally seen a lot of people talking about. So here we are. It's good to be back. And
we have a comic to promote.
Yeah, we've got, obviously we're going to be talking about comics, and Kyle, he died, so he won't be joining. I'm just kidding. He'll be joining us late.
Rest in peace, Kyle.
Rip Kyle. So if he shows up, he's risen. It's going to be another Easter miracle.
Yeah, he's our new Lord and Savior.
He's got long hair.
Yeah,
he could do a good a Las Vegas impersonation of Jesus if he wanted to. Get him some robes. But yeah, how's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. I'm very happy. We're making money off of Fund My Comic.
Yep, that's right.
That site, you never know what you're going to get with that site because so many people don't know about it. But that actually exceeded my expectations for.
Yeah, it's cool.
So I think we pleased.
I think we just reached our stretch goal from Fund My Comic too. It's kind of like we had the Indiegogo, people got their fill for the Indiegogo, and now people are jumping on the Fund My Comic. So once we do the Kickstarter, that'll be the whole shebang leading up to Heroes Con, I suppose.
And we really like the guy from Fund My Comic who runs it, and
yeah, Luke Stone. Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting him a few times. He used to live in Jacksonville, so I'd see him at some of the local conventions, and I think he moved up to, he moved out of town. I don't want to give all his personal information out, but yeah, I've seen him recently. What was it? I think it was last year at a show, year before, I don't know, but some of what we talk about at shows is just how shitty they are, and it's like, I hate this show, I'm not doing it again, or oh yeah, how's it going, you tell if guys are selling indie comics are in good mood at a show, because it's either they've done pretty well the first day and a half, or they're like, this is awful, I'm ready to go home. But yeah, anyways, he's a cool guy. He used to be, I don't know if he still is, or he used to be like a minister or a pastor. I'm not sure which one is which.
I don't know.
But and then he's been making comics for a few years, more than a few years for sure, and so he's in the independent comic space, like we all are here, and he decided why put your crowdfunding campaign on somewhere like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, who may straight up like ban you. If you're not pushing some just like normie, I don't know, gay shit. I don't know how else to describe it, just normie slop, so and then the other thing is they keep going up and up on their fees, their platform fees. So he decided, why not make a crowdfunding space or community for indie comics? And so he did it. He put his money where his mouth is, like we're doing with the comics. And that's great. Yeah, he's a great guy, and their team's easy to work with. I set it up, I think, at night, did the confirmation, and then I got an email like the next day, and they're like, "Hey, it's live," and it's cool. And they give you they do like a special deal if you're a publisher too. So I was like, "Oh, hell yeah!" And the cool thing
Yeah.
about Fund My Comic is for independent people, like, you know, like we're branching out, so we've got the website already. Like I'd kind of planned that, but a lot of guys, it's like, do you really need a website if you're launching a book? You know, like a book that you're passionate about or one series? Probably not, to be honest. And so you can actually use Fund My Comic as this is an unofficial. We're not being sponsored or paid to say this. I just like the platform, so I want to talk about it for a little bit. But yeah, you can set up your crowdfunder more. There's like a toggle option where you can set up a storefront there. So you can basically just set it up such that it doesn't really have an end date. So that's really cool. So you can use it, you know, as kind of like a de facto website, a place to send people to sell your book. So I like that feature too. And it's easy
it's
to
a good
set up.
place to browse too if you're in the market for an independent book.
Yeah, and so like what you're saying earlier is, you know, you're not sure how it's going to go. It's kind of cool because it should give us a couple extra people who haven't seen our book before, just because it's its own niche community of people who will like to go to Fund My Comic to find new comic books, you know. So yeah, it's worked out pretty good so far. So far between that and Indiegogo, we're up to about $1,000, which you pretty much already beat Hardly Heroes. So kudos to you, my friend.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And yeah, they don't take as much off the top either. I think Indiegogo 7%, something like that.
Yeah, Indiegogo is 5, and then it goes up. Okay. Like they have some weird stipulation, like if you're trying to like cross promote other things or whatever. But I think it's 5, and Kickstarter I think is a little more. I think Kickstarter might be like 7 or 8. And yeah, Fund My Comics like 2% fee. I mean, so you're barely paying them more than the credit card process, you know, and
yeah,
you get the money a lot quicker. Like they don't hold your money. So basically, as soon as someone funds your book, like we got the money, you know, like a few business days later, after that first Fund My Comic order. So that was cool. In fact, I got a little spreadsheet going now because I don't want to lose track of, like, you know, what's like a website, you know, for like the corporate checking account. Basically, I want to make sure, like, okay, Mercenary Guild funds are separate, you know, like Hardly Hero funds, etc., are separate. But yeah, I really can't say good enough things about Fund My Comic. I mean, you know, it's not the size of a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo. So like there are some things that are, you know, you just have to work through. Like when you're setting up your crowdfunding campaign, it's a little more manual, but in the end I like it. There's just, you feel like you have more control over what you can do, and it's just straightforward. There isn't like a question of where everything is. It's like, boom, here's your description. You want to set up your tiers or rewards or whatever you want to call them. Boom, they're right here. And then you can like hear a bunch of different options, and it's just like little drop downs. It's good. It's very logical. You know, it's like a guy's website. It's like a flowchart.
And to buy comics off it, I've the only ones I bought were the Wolf and Batsy issues 10 through 13, and it was not quite as user friendly as Indiegogo, but I could still figure it out and get to the getting. And I don't know if that's been fixed or not, but that was just maybe one thing I had where, few too many steps, but
right. And that's, you know, that's just the territory when you're dealing with an alternative. Right, like it's a small team. It's basically Luke and maybe like 2 or 3 other people, so they don't have a bunch of money to just specifically throw at like front end user interface people that are just working full time around the clock. But I mean, I much prefer something like Fund My Comic, and then as a creator, as a publisher, I can just get a hold of some guy, like not some guy. I mean, I know the people there, but like, you know, if I didn't know Luke or met him beforehand, and it's like, hey, I need to get a hold of someone on support, their support team, or like I have a question, like they're very responsive, which is good. You know,
That's good. Yeah.
it's like kind of like your own personal, like you just feel, I don't know, like you feel like it's more like your home for comics, right? Whereas like Indiegogo or Kickstarter, like who knows if I'll ever get, you know, or like if I had a question or whatever, I would just give like some random automated thing, and it's like, oh, okay, your ticket has been submitted. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who fucking knows? So yeah, I appreciate that. And, you know, and it's good people, small business. It's good to support those guys. So I would definitely like to do stuff there in the future, for sure. Whether we still do the other platforms or do more Fund My Comic focus, definitely going to do stuff there. So yeah, so we'll check it out, maybe during like a commercial break or whatever. But Kyle's here. How's it going, Kyle?
Hey, we
Hey,
get commercial breaks now.
Hey, he is risen. He is
Do we
risen.
Kyle's
do we have
resurrected.
sponsors?
Dude, it's so good. I heard what happened to you, Nick.
Yeah, I told William how you died and now you're back to life. It's like an Easter miracle.
Yeah, I think we're writing a comic
So-
about me.
Yeah, but we shouldn't really talk about it. Like people will figure it out. Yeah, and then I'll be your apostle,
Okay.
and then I'll spread the word of Kyle.
I can be Judas. I get Judas.
You can stab him in the back. Oh no! But then never mind.
I want my.
The first time Brian's ever not said something.
I don't want to get banned on.
Wait a minute, that would be offensive.
Well, you know, talk
Times are
about
changing,
the Jews
I
on
guess.
talk about the Jews on YouTube, and you know you get banned pretty quickly.
Yeah, something will happen to you.
Yeah. So okay, well, that joke has passed. Anyways, yeah, we'll do a commercial break, or we'll do we're sponsoring ourselves, and the
Nice.
people at home are our sponsors. So we'll actually do a screen share and pull up we were just talking about the Fund My Comic, the campaign.
Yeah.
Are you suffering from erectile dysfunction? We have this.
We have the cure for that.
Buy the ASMR audio William audio to help. Man. All right, let's jump into these articles, man.
Yeah, we were just praising Fund My Comic, and it seems like my book is doing pretty well there for how books usually do, and I'm just very pleased. And we just praised Luke, the owner of it, the guy who runs it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So the first article, they're talking about. This is again, all these are like a week, 2 or 3 old since we've kind of been on break, but this is just kind of debuting Julia Garner.
This be the last take instead of the first take.
Right, per usual.
We end the conversation, okay?
Yeah, we're gonna end it
Once
today.
we say our piece. The first 3 weeks, everyone's like, I wonder what everyone at Shattermare thinks about this, and then
Right,
we say our
yeah.
piece and it's done.
No,
That's
you're
right,
exactly
all-
right.
All one or
they-
two of our viewers.
Yeah, they can barely wait. The
They
suspense.
hinge on our
suspense
every
is building.
word.
Yeah, and like those first people that are just on it, like fucking flies on a pile of poo. Like those guys are just chasing clicks and views. We wait till everyone else has been done talking about it for 2 weeks.
You
And
can tell
then-
we're not chasing anything.
Right. So anyways, this article is basically just talking about just some random guy at USA Today talking, just puffing up this actress as the new Silver Surfer in the new Fantastic Four. And Julia Gardner is let's see. Trying to find the picture of her. She was in the only thing I've ever seen her in was Ozark, I think. She was like the white trash drug
so.
girl.
I think so. Yeah.
So she's got this like very resting bitch face look about her.
But there's something there's sex appeal there.
Is there? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, it's just another, let's just
She
turn
got
this
good
character.
hair. She has nice hair.
She does have nice hair, yeah. But yeah,
I wonder
That
what it smells
matters,
like.
man.
apparently.
How do you think it smells, William?
She smells like jasmine.
Oh my god! Wow, I didn't know this was gonna. This is definitely going a direction I did not expect.
Dude, I'm not
especially from
creepy,
you.
I promise.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else to say about this except, of course, they'll choose a female Silver Surfer?
Well, and this is
the actual Silver Surfer.
The defense is that they did do a run. It was like an alternative universe run,
right?
With Shala Ball who is Nornrad's girlfriend or wife or what, significant other. Let's put it that way. And she became Silver Surfer, and it died on the stands.
Of course. I mean, I didn't read it, but that checks out.
Yeah. And so when people are defending it, saying, well, it happened in the comics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a justification for their own bullshit ideas, right? Like, because if it didn't happen, it would just be another excuse, right? But since Marvel went out of their way in the comics to preempt all of the shitty characters that are now in the movies, now they can say, oh, well, we are being authentic to the source material. You're just a sexist, misogynist, racist, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, it sucked then, so it's going to suck now.
Now, if they wanted to put Nova in there, who is a female Galactus steward or herald or whatever, Frankie Ray, perfect, because her and Johnny Storm actually had a romantic relationship at one time.
Yeah, but the irony is, like, these people don't know what the fuck they're doing. You think they actually did that because they're like, oh, let's think of an interesting way to change Silver Surfer since people saw them in the old Fox movie. No, they're just like, oh, they just read a Wikipedia page and then they're like, oh, we can make it a female. Great.
Yeah,
Is there any way in which this is executed where you guys could see yourself being like, oh, that worked out well?
No.
I mean, I already watched the Fantastic Four movies back in the day, like 20 years ago, so I'm not even going to watch this. So I guess I'm also in the no
When I
camp.
understand, that one was really bad, right?
I enjoyed it.
No, it was good? I feel like I remember hearing people hated it, but...
You mean the ones with, God, what Michael Chiklis is the thing, and
I'm
Captain
talking about
America.
Yeah, I'm talking about the same guy who played Captain America was
Jessica Alba.
Yeah, and Jessica Alba. Yeah, I'm talking about those, not the one that came out like 5 years ago. That
with the black.
That
Johnny
was fucking
Storm.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the one. Well, Kyle left. I was gonna say, but that's probably the one he was talking about. The one that people were like, oh,
I never bothered with it. In fact, that was ground zero when I noticed all this race swapping, gender swapping stuff. That was really, it was before Ghostbusters 2016. Yeah.
That's true.
Like, we're going to make Johnny Storm black.
Oh my god, that was like 10 years ago. Holy shit. So the ones I'm talking about were like 20, 25 years ago then. Like when I was
20,
a kid.
20 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, we can move on. When Kyle comes back, I'll tell him about that.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I thought you like left. I thought you like.
No, I
away.
just mute myself when I'm not talking.
Oh, okay. So no, not the 10-year-old one that I thought was more recent than that because I'm getting old. That one was awful and people hated it. I'm talking about the ones from like 20 years ago with like.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I forgot that they even did one like 5 years ago.
Yeah, apparently that one was 10 years ago, and the ones I'm thinking of are like 20 years ago.
I thought that they had never made a Fantastic Four that people liked, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, they never have. In
Okay.
fact, it's probably
Well,
the most shit
Except for
upon
Brian.
franchise by
yeah,
Hollywood.
I like. I mean, they were more campy. That was like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man era. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was before like comic book
like-
movies were like a proven success because there were so many bad ones.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
like the
I
X-Men movies.
liked the first Fantastic Four movie. I just didn't like the way they did Doctor Doom, because that's not his power set. That isn't how he was created. But I understood it. But as far as the actual Fantastic Four cast, I liked it.
Yeah, and they had good chemistry, and they actually had like a good
Yeah.
dynamic. The second one, where they did introduce Silver Surfer, I didn't really care for that one because, again, we were children, so I just thought it was boring. I'm just like, okay.
But I
sure.
liked the way they conveyed Silver Surfer. I thought they did. And actually, the CGI in that, they put up pictures in Twitter of the CGI in this, in the CGI
Oh
in that.
no, is that one still better? That one holds up better.
It's
than
better.
This?
It's
Oh
better
my god.
than the CGI in the 2025 version. It's
Yeah,
better.
that one, from what I remember, was good. Yeah, and Silver Surfer was good. It's just Galactus was like a giant cloud of
Just like a big ball or
space
some shit.
dust.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah. Like I don't know,
Like
but
I said, if they would have gotten Doctor Doom right, or just left him out completely and given him his own movie, I think
sure.
that would have worked. Because Doctor Doom really does have such a backstory that's very fascinating.
Right, but that was before the MCU was an idea. That was just when they were doing like
Yeah.
one-off Marvel movies. Because like and that was Fox back then too.
It was
So
Fox.
It was like Marvel had sold off all their like movie rights to most of their characters, and so Fox was like, "Well, we have the Fantastic Four. We already did the X-Men. Might as well do these." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take that.
But
over
honestly,
these.
I think they were fun. Like
Right.
I can rewatch those. At least the first one, the second one. Sure, I'll rewatch it if it's on TV. I don't own them on DVD or anything. And then I never bothered with the third with the Black Johnny Storm. And apparently they had to make a special thing in the movie explaining how him and Sue are brother and sister, but he's black and she's white.
Yep.
And the
Man, that
director,
sounds pretty silly.
yeah, the director actually, it was Roger Corman, and then it's like two different movies because the director
that
quit.
movie was a dumpster fire.
And it was terrible.
But yeah, my point is that I'm not gonna watch the new one they make. If I want to watch it, I'll just go watch those. Like,
Yeah.
and I'll probably enjoy them a lot more. Because
Well, they also emasculated Johnny Storm. So he's now the kinder, sensitive Johnny Storm. He's not the
playboy, confident,
the
masculine
playboy.
Chad.
Yeah, no, he's not a Chad.
Yeah.
He's a simp.
Yeah, I don't want to watch a bunch of like
And
effeminate Marvel characters.
And then Sue Storm is running the show because
Of
she
course.
has the highest, and an article pointed this out, and you know how I feel about this. You listen to TFM. She has the highest emotional IQ out of the group.
Yeah, I don't care.
You like emotional IQ is the biggest dog whistle for.
I mean, it's
I'm
not
not smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a dog whistle. It's just a bullshit made up term for women
Yeah.
because they don't have. Anyways,
It's
whatever.
like,
We
I
don't have to get
remember
into
how I
anything.
felt when my dad died. So it's like, no shit. You know, like that doesn't give you a high emotional IQ. You don't fuck.
No, it's fine. It's just
You know.
we don't have to get into that.
Yeah, but they're using
but-
those type of terms. It's going to be
Yeah.
a Sue Storm movie, and everybody's going to be yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Whatever you say, ma'am, to Sue Storm, and
Yeah. So I guess to answer the question Kyle posed, like, what would it have to be? Like, I think definitionally it would have to be different because for it to be good, why even take these characters and fuck with them. Like, just make new characters. Like,
yeah, I mean, Sue
new...
Storm has always been strong. Like, she's always been strong. She's been smart. She's been a leader in the comics. I get that.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna sit here and simp for a female character. I don't fucking care at all. Like, what I'm saying is, if they've already fucked with the characters, so I'm not gonna walk back and be like, oh, what if they made a good version of this character they're already fucking with? No, there's context there already. So it's just like saying, well, what if they completely change, I don't know, like a story about Santa Claus? Like, what if they completely changed the origin story of Santa Claus and they made him, you know, like now it's like his wife is Santa Claus and he's just some guy. What would be a good version of that? It's like, what
have they done that already? I think they've done that already.
Probably, yeah. But it's like, what are you even asking? Because what we're saying is like, it's like saying, well, how can I cope with these people like fucking with the characters that I want to see? Like, I'm not gonna cope with it. I'm just not gonna give them my money. Like, fuck these people. We're way past this. 2025. Like, I just don't care. I haven't cared for like 4 years.
Now,
years.
could it be
well,
good?
We are talking about it though. Even though it is the same song and dance, you know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't even want to spend this much time on this article, to be honest. But
on a normie level, I think they won't care and they'll just watch it anyway. And as long as it looks good and it's got some decent jokes and whatnot, then
maybe
people will eat it up.
Maybe. I mean, my prediction is like all of the YouTubers that are supposedly like anti-woke, anti-Disney YouTubers, but gleefully take selfies of themselves in the theaters every time one of these movies comes out is like shit onto the screen. Are they still around? I assume they're still around, right? I don't know. But
yeah.
I stopped listening to dog shit, but whatever. Anyway, so like I assume they'll all go, they'll crank out the same fucking 30 like videos about this like it's a Captain Marvel movie or whatever. But the general reception of audiences, I think it's going to be kind of meh, just like Fantastic Four originally was, like I was talking about earlier. Because we're at if you're going to talk about normies, normie people just follow what's popular, and the actual fans of an IP build it up. And then when it's popular, they care about it because it's popular, because it's the cool thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So we've all left like years ago. So the only people coming to see this are, so like, it might make money, but it's like, I don't know. I don't think people care. Like, people don't care.
To be fair, amongst comics collectors back in the day, most of the guys I ran with, they didn't buy Fantastic Four. I bought it when it was Byrne's run, when they brought the Thing back. I didn't buy the She-Hulk stuff. Not that I dislike her. I'm just a Ben Grimm diehard.
Yeah, I mean, I think the look of the Thing in this movie is probably the best one so far.
Yeah, it from what I understand, it looks good, and that can be enough. You jingle keys. I mean, Captain America 4 or whatever it was did over $400 million. Now, if they could have kept the budget down, they could have probably made money off of that. The problem is, and the thing is,
keyword there,
it's a bad movie, and
so
not just bad because it's a black. In fact, Anthony Mackie was probably the best thing about that movie.
So that already came out. Brave New World, the new Captain America, where he officially takes over the man. That came out already.
Yeah, it did like 400. You might be able to find it. It's probably on street. I think it's on pay on demand right now.
No thanks.
But it did like $415 million. I thought this thing would do like the Marvel's money, like $200 million. It more than doubled that. Still lost some money because they couldn't keep the budget down. But
right, it's like the video game companies, which we might end up talking about later. Like, they just have these massive, over bloated, frankly corrupt game publishers and studios, and they have to justify all of their like rent seeking no production, like worthless jobs as like middle managers in order to, and so the movie has to make a shitload of money. like in like, I don't know, not even 30 years ago, $400 million would have been like a massive success.
Huge.
Yeah, and they would have been like, holy shit, like it would have been like first Iron Man level. But yeah, these idiots spend like way too much money on way too much. So I don't know. I mean, again, so I think this one's going to be the same as that one.
Okay.
And I think that and part of the reason why I even pulled this article up is just to show like the aesthetic they're going for with the movie, where this is supposed to be like a new era, and people are like, "Oh, we're winning, guys. The woke movies are killing Hollywood." No, it's the same shit. Like nothing's changed. They haven't learned their lesson. So, well, I'll check in later when I finally see signs that these people aren't making the same stupid shit they've been making for like honestly longer. But.
And I think I have to add this is that it's also probably going to compete against James Gunn's Superman, which I've heard different things about.
Yeah, that one I'd actually be willing to go see.
Yeah,
maybe.
So
maybe. Okay, so hopping over to.
How about you, Kyle? Are you excited for Fantastic Four, or you?
No, I don't give a shit.
Okay.
You care even less than we do.
How about Superman?
No, there's something. I think we talked about Superman on one of these last streams, and I don't know, there's something about it that's not vibing with me from like the trailers and stuff I saw.
Yeah, we watched the trailer, and you were commenting on the actor and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't vibe with me.
So there you go.
I mean, if someone was like really wanted to drag me to go see it, yeah, I'd probably go. But
maybe I'll drag you to it, so we have an excuse to talk about it. So for Superman,
if I hear good things, I'm open to it. But initial impressions, I don't know.
Yeah. So far, we've got a yes, a no, and a maybe.
There you go.
That's kind of how it works.
That's our 3-man poll here.
A balanced broadcasting table here.
Right. Nice panel. So again, this is from. Sorry, folks. This is from March 25th, but I think it's still important because this entertainment company bought Diamond Comics, which is still the biggest comic distributor in America, and I would venture to say North America as a whole. So yeah, they did. So I guess to update everybody at home, if you haven't been following this, Diamond declared bankruptcy. They went to auction after trying to figure out all of the debt and who owed what and who they owed money to. And these guys came in and swooped them up at an auction. So now, let's see. So they get toys, grading, which is interesting because I didn't know Diamond had this stuff.
I didn't either.
So let's see. So apparently it was for 160 million, mainly for credit facility to help them. Basically, they bought them in exchange. What they paid for them is basically just paying off all their debt.
Yeah,
so that's a good deal for them. Let's see. Don't want to bore everybody. Looking for. I guess that doesn't necessarily include Diamond UK or some other stuff, but what I'm looking for is what Alliance Entertainment does. I should have done some more homework before I pulled this up. So let's see. So apparently Alliance, I think we may have looked at this in another stream because they were mentioned before, but I guess they also have some tabletop games and other board games. So this will increase their distribution for those existing things. So that's good for them. The question is, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with Diamond? I mean, it's still basically a collapsing industry. Diamond sucks. Like, people hate them. The bigger publishers have already moved on to their own publishing companies. So what is this gonna do for the industry? Continue Free Comic Book Day, I guess? Like, that's at this point, I mean, speaking just for us personally, that's pretty much the biggest effect it has on us right now. You know, like,
Yeah.
will the stores that we want to go to for Free Comic Book Day still be doing Free Comic Book Day? Interesting. CD list.
Yeah, I don't know if there is much of a future. I mean, the industry itself is killing itself.
Yeah.
You know, I think like right now I'm thinking Critical. He talked about how the current X-Men writers have been whacked and cut off the book. You know, it seems like they try to take a step forward and then they take steps back as far as the quality. And I think that's what it comes down to. There's no money in distribution because people are buying back issues and trade paperbacks and things like that.
Yeah, and the places that you go to nowadays have their own distribution systems. So, like, for example, if I was going to take our volume or trade paperbacks right now for any of the books that we've got in the catalog or in our future books, I would just go directly to like Barnes and Noble and I would fill out their application and I would try to get an order, like a buy order, a purchase order from them. And I would just do it directly with them. Everything else, we already facilitate direct to consumer, like through the website. And if any retail, like any of the local retail comic shops that we do business with, we just do business with them directly. And if any comic shop, stumbles across us for whatever reason, like they see us on social media, the website, we stop in while we're, going on a camping trip in North Carolina or whatever. By the way, I still have to email those people, Kyle. I fucked up. But, if they reach out to us, they place an order, I ship them the books, boom, done. So, yeah, like I agree. I totally agree with you, William. I don't know. I don't know what.
And retailers take 30% off the top, so per book you're not making nearly as much. And
it's more than that, by the way.
Okay, it's more than that. All right. News to me. So, so are you really getting the exposure? Barnes and Noble brings in a lot of people, more than a comic store
I mean,
does, I would think.
Yes, for sure. And the thing about going to distribution is you have to scale what you're doing. You have to get the cost down. So yeah, once they take a big chunky, like 40 to 60% is what it is, by the way, depending on who you're working with. We'll just call it 50%. So like any kind of person you're working with, whether it's directly with a retailer or through a distributor, is taking like, we'll say 50% average. So yeah, that's a big deal, which means, yeah, basically every book you put out, unless you go overseas to China and try to get them for like, you get like 5,000 copies printed or 10,000 copies printed for like $1, less than $1 or whatever, you're making no money. I mean, like, yeah, we basically, it's basically just a marketing thing for us. Like for stores, I'll be honest, for retail, based on how we get like the cost that we have for printing books, it's not a loss leader. At least we're like not making money. I mean, we're not losing money. It's a little better than break even, but at the end of the day, is it worth like the extra overhead and the headache? No, not really.
No.
You're basically just, you're straight up doing it just to hope that people go in and see your book. But then the problem is, you have to work extra hard, like to convert that person as a customer, because now it's like, well, they're really a customer of that shop, right? They're not a customer of yours. And so how do you get that person to? So what we've kind of done is we'll like do a store signing, and then if we go to the store, we'll work out the deal with the store. Every store is a little different, like whether they're just like, oh yeah, come in, we'll help drive traffic to them a little bit. We keep basically what we sell, or if they want to cut because we're selling books in their store, right? Like we're basically soliciting there. So some stores are like, yeah, I want a cut of what you sell or whatever. So then
Yeah.
you're still basically paying, a percentage, but now I'm also doing the work to show up and sell books for them, right? Even if it's not like the full amount. So so then if we go there and do like a signing or whatever, then hopefully we can get the person to sign up for the email newsletter, you know what I mean? And then have them updated directly, as opposed to like, oh, I like the book, I'll put it on my pull list at the store, and then we come out with a book a year later and like, they forget or they took it off their pull list. I don't know, whatever, however that works. Like, we're indie, we don't have a book coming out every month, so there's a little there's a gap there. So yeah, you're kind of either, I say all that to say, like, you're kind of all in. You're either all in on a distributor and you're just, it's a quantity over quality situation where you're just trying to blast out as many books as you can on all different platforms, and so you're just printing books and shipping them, and then eventually you hope that like that momentum amounts to other things, greater things, or you're trying to hustle and do it directly, and you just build that slowly over time, which is kind of the route we found ourselves in, just because like we're not doing this full time. So it's like, we'd rather just make more money but sell less books. So, and each person is going to have a different strategy. Like, I've known many people I've met at shows and just other people doing kind of what we're doing. And, especially the guys that are more old school, like these older guys, they're like married to the idea. Like, they haven't realized that the internet exists yet. They haven't caught up to speed. They're kind of comic boomers. And so they're like, oh, you got to get a deal with Diamond. It's like bands back in the day. They're like, oh, I got to get a record deal. Like, I'm so desperate to give up like a bunch of money on my book, or worse, like a cop, like they actually own, part of the thing you worked on and they had no involvement in the book, but they own part of it for a certain amount of time or whatever. And look at what Eric July did with the Ripperverse. Like, he spun up his own distribution model. Like, that was more
everybody's
valuable to
been
him.
saying that he's gonna go under, and it seems like he's doing just fine. So
yeah, he hired people, but it's all integrated, like from top down. His business is fully integrated, so it just depends on which way you go to grow your business. So anyway, so we'll see how that shakes out. As far as Diamond goes, but I guess they're
again,
on life support.
I don't really buy new comics anymore.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some good ones out there. I just don't want to sift through it.
Yeah, you gotta really get through the chaff. Well, I will say that there is a chance that they basically totally gut Diamond and they use it just as their own distributor, like just like Eric July. Like, they just do a little vertical integration, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. You've got all the assets, the warehouses, the employees. Sweet, sounds good, Diamond. Like, you're now our distributor, and Alliance is just going to use them for their products.
Yeah, distribute other things.
So,
just like comic shops are selling other things.
Right. Or they'll sell and spin off the stuff that Diamond was doing that they just don't want to do. It's like, oh, you guys did comic grading? Well, we don't give a shit about that. So they just don't, they just kill it or they sell it off or whatever. Like, so who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I don't think this, honestly, I don't think this changes the industry a whole lot, except for, again, people who were very dependent on Diamond. Like, when we were going through this article, it hit me, the idea of like, it's all digital now mostly, but basically a catalog, still a physical catalog or a virtual PDF catalog, and you're just a retailer scrolling through like pages and pages, or say you're us, and you're like, oh, and then you're paying for a tiny little spot on the catalog, and the catalog's like 30 pages, for what they could order that month. And it's
and I actually
oh
watched.
My God, why?
I watched a retailer do this. So I was playing D&D at a comic shop, I don't know, around 2012, and she had an actual catalog, a book, and she was marking, okay, I'm going to order this. I was watching her do it. I was fascinated because, okay, this is how running a comic shop is.
Yeah.
I didn't ask her any questions or anything, but that's how she did it. She went through a catalog, and I guess probably then she went online and submitted her order, and
you could still probably you could probably request the physical version or print it out or whatever. But yeah, and they've got it organized by certain publisher and like just genre and stuff. But I mean, and I'm not saying this to like have this like defeatist attitude, but if you're, especially some of the guys who are like, oh, you got to get into Diamond. If you're listening to these people and you're like newer, or you're coming out with your own book, I mean, you probably don't even care about what I'm saying now because you just go do a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo or a Fund My Comic or, whatever, sell it on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But if you're going to consider that, like, actually go look at the catalog. Like Williams, like you're saying, go to a store, a comic shop, and ask them if you could see what the catalog looks like, and just scroll through it and look in it and see if that's even something that because you can either compete with a million people on Indiegogo and Fund My Comic, like a bunch of other guys doing indie comics, or you can compete with like a nameless, voiceless catalog. Like, what would you rather do? You know what I mean? Either way, you're in with a sea of other people. It's like, wouldn't you at least rather have the opportunity to, I don't know, like, market to a certain region through ads, digital ads, or because it's just the catalog is just an ad at that point, right? So it's like
that's what it is. Yeah,
right. Would you rather pay and allocate resources if you're a small business, you don't have a ton of money to submit and give up money and pay to be in the catalog? That's on top of the profit you're giving up on your books. Or would you rather, I don't know, spend the time like learning or hiring a guy to make a sweet trailer for your comic book and then put it up on a platform for free and then just market the comic through a trailer, you know what I mean? Through an actual video people can see, or go on a show, on a podcast, and talk about the book, and like speak directly to an audience about how passionate you are about this thing that you're doing. Like, that's way more valuable than, being on page 28. I'm just making that up, and actually, I'm pretty sure it's bigger than that. But you understand what I'm saying, so
I get it.
But yeah, so that's people out there who are considering that. I'd say don't waste your time. Focus on other things. All right, so hold on, let me reorganize this real quick because I want to make sure we get all our comic news out of the way before we jump into other stuff.
All right.
Role-playing stuff. Go. Get over there. Get. All right, cool. All right. We can fly through the rest of these. So, next article, Bounding into Comics. You know him. Marvel comic exec editor pushes back against fans, says publisher has concluded decisively that the best platonic ideal of Spider-Man is one that is unattached. I think one of the last streams, we actually covered something very similar to this.
Yeah.
So this is just another. In fact, they may have just literally retitled this. Yeah, this looks oddly familiar.
Very familiar.
Very familiar, yeah. But some of the pictures they're using are different. This one I remember. Anyway, so yeah, so this is just another bullshit, I don't know, cope session from people that love to simp for big corporations that destroy the things that you love. It's weird. Like, I mean, I don't know if I guess I'd have to read through the whole thing to see if this guy is pro or against that. But quoting someone in Marvel, this is pretty fucking retarded. Like, if you look up any of the numbers for Ultimate Spider-Man, that's basically the one new comic that I'm reading. In fact, earlier today or the day before, I went to go pick up more issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, and that's the one that people love, which is why it's selling like hundreds of thousands of copies or whatever. And some dipshit at Marvel is like, oh, you know what? We concluded that the best version of Spider-Man isn't the one that's in this best-selling modern Spider-Man comic.
Yeah. Tom Brevoort is just, I mean, like, he is dead set against, because Dan Slott was the one that came up with this whole Spider-Man stuff. Even though it's canon that at some point in time, Spider-Man had a daughter and she had powers.
Well, and like Dan Slott is literally just like projecting his miserable divorced life into the comic book, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's, but yeah, I don't know why he's backing that guy. I mean, you're like, aren't you you're the executive editor? Like, aren't you also the editor on the Ultimate Universe? This is what's so confusing to me. It's like,
I don't even know if he is the executive editor. I think he's been reduced to certain books, but not all of them.
Okay.
So I don't even know what he has control over and what he doesn't, but it seems like recently he's had a demotion.
See, that would make sense, because it's like this guy is living in an alternate universe where he says things like, you seriously think that if there was an easy way to make sales skyrocket, I wouldn't do it, in response to like defending, Spider-Man and Mary Jane's ruined relationship in the main run. It's like, am I taking crazy? Like, am I the one that's crazy? Because
no, it's gaslighting. It's gaslighting.
I mean, you couldn't seriously be this delusional and be like the chief editor when literally, like, the Ultimate Universe is flying off the shelves. Or at least it was in the first, 10 issues or so.
Yeah,
but
have at it, dude. Like,
yeah, well, okay. Have fun with that, yeah.
I mean, I would definitely have him and Mary Jane together, having a family. Like,
well, that's what they are. That's what I'm saying. Like, they are. That exists right now in real time. That's why it's so weird.
But it's in an Ultimate Spider-Man book, and it should be an Amazing Spider-Man, because that is the flagship title of Marvel. Period. Hands down. Always has been. That's what built Marvel. And it wasn't the Fantastic Four. It was Amazing Spider-Man.
Right. And look, this is a picture from the Ultimate Spider-Man right here. Like,
yeah.
It's weird that you're gaslighting people who are literally buying and reading the, like, how disconnected from reality can you possibly be? I mean, I guess people are, but like, does this guy need to be like, is someone checking on this guy? Is he okay? Like, he have like a mental breakdown or something? It's so weird. Like, you could just, because he's younger, obviously, in the main run, so you could just tell the story, like, of how they're starting their family. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, the Ultimate Spider-Man didn't have his powers for a long time, and then they started a family. It's like, okay, so you can play with how you would start your family, but you already have your powers. Like, what does that look like? Well, it basically looks like issues 3 and up of the Ultimate Universe without the Ultimate Universe characters.
Well, they actually did that back in the day, and he was actually worried that his daughter would be born a mutant or something because of, so they actually did that. Kraven's Last Hunt, one of the best runs in history of comics, was right at the beginning of their marriage, and So they were married they were newlyweds at that time when that storyline took place. But so they've kind of
read that.
Yeah, they kind of been there, done that, but they're already they've rehashed so many storylines anyways from the 80s and 90s from gang war. They did rehash Kraven's Last Stand. It was not very good, wasn't terrible, just didn't live up. And I think that's what they're trying to do now, is just rehash stuff from the past. But if you're going to rehash anything from the past, that's what you should rehash. Is
right. Well, speaking of rehashing, that's a good segue to our next article in the DC
and by
comic.
the way, I want to give a shout out to Eric Weathers, my letterer. So I got Battle Brick Road 1 and 2. I read the first one. It's really good. I'm going to read the second one this weekend. So Eric Weathers, it's his comic, Battle Brick Road 1 and 2, and and he's my letterer. So definitely put that on your list. Great content.
Good to hear. Yeah, I'm glad we can work with people like Eric. By the way, which I have to send him the rest of the pages so we can get that shit lettered and done.
Mm-hmm.
He's really fast though, so he's hands down the best letterer we've ever worked with.
Yeah. He's a good artist too. I like his art style. This guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and he does all the stuff for Battle Brick Road, right?
Yeah.
So
he does the art. He wrote it. He did the art. Did the letters.
So he's multi-talented comic guy, really.
Yeah.
So that's good. Well, cool. Well, hopping over to DC, this is just another, again, people just keep rehashing the same shit, different day now. They've run out of stuff, I guess, to talk about, but I don't understand why people are constantly feeling the need to talk about Wonder Woman's sexual activity.
I didn't know this was a thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we covered
this
an
is
article
news
like
to
this.
me.
Yeah, well, the last one was about how Wonder Woman has a extensive history in kink culture and shit, and it's like the guy that was writing that, or not necessarily the person writing the article, but the person they were quoting, that's the type of guy you got to check his fucking hard drive. You know what I mean? If you get my drift, what a fucking oh my god, weirdo is not the right word. Oh man, that. It's so nice.
Yeah, they're injecting sex into everything. I heard a conversation about Superman. If he were to finish, it would. And it's really, you think about this shit.
Yeah, I mean, that was a joke.
Wrong with you?
That was a joke that we made as teenagers.
Yeah.
As 13-year-olds back in the day. But we were reading we weren't writing the comics. You know what I mean?
No.
You'd think these people would have anything other to draw from, but their experience is just a weird, degenerate, pampered, middle-class American lifestyle. Probably upper middle class. That's why they're working in comics.
Yeah.
Clearly,
I mean,
they can.
I know Wonder Woman had kind of a thing for Batman, at least on the animated series.
In the animated series, yeah, and it's subtle, because that's good writing, especially for a kid's show. But these people don't care about that. In fact, that's probably their drive. A lot of pedophiles try to get into industries with children,
of course,
so they can try to groom them and stuff. So
yeah, they want to be a swim coach or a gymnastics or
right. And there was another article. I don't think I have it in the queue, but I think they just killed Wonder Woman too, and like there's like a million mainline continuities in DC now. Yeah, no one's reading it, so it doesn't matter.
Well, nobody dies anyway, and
right, that's the thing.
Except for Uncle Ben,
quote unquote die.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man.
But yeah, there's people saying she's a lesbian. Like, before the movie came out, there was a lot of SJWs pissed off that it was Gal Gadot and how attractive she was, and they wanted her to grow armpit hair and leg hair for the movie because that's what Amazon's would be. And it's like, dude, do you want guys like throwing up in their popcorn?
Right. Well, and this is like this quote about like if she fell in love with the first man she slept with, it would skew their relationship dynamics. So like it's just about their shitty power dynamics. Like that's all they care about. You know what I mean? They don't care about like actual femininity and like the purity of the character. Like she had to be a whore. She couldn't be chaste. She couldn't be a virgin. It's like, why not? Oh well, because they're related. Because she has to. It would undermine its depth. You mean it would undermine her being in the role of the man?
Well, she grew up on an island with all women, so there's no way that she came out of that of not a virgin or a virgin. I mean,
No. They're saying the opposite of that. What you're saying makes sense. Like, yeah, duh, she would be a virgin.
She would be a
logically.
Virgin. I mean, unless they,
and they're like, no, you
know, had toys, which is probably going to be step 2.
Because I had an awful relationship with my father. She obviously couldn't be a virgin because then she would trust Steve too much. Because she would fall in love with the first man she slept with. You see, so because they have an awful relationship with their fathers, and they can't trust men because they're retarded. They
probably never had fathers,
you know? Right? Or all of the above. So, anyways, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, why don't you just let her be a hero and just leave it at that? I mean, I thought that thing with her in Batman kind of worked in the animated series.
It was subtle. Good. It was like a will they, won't they? Right. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So when they're not talking about just weird shit that frankly probably doesn't even have anything to do with the actual comics. But it would take a lot of research, and I'd have to read a lot of modern shitty comics to figure it out. Then they literally are rehashing the greatest hits. So just like, what was the one recently they did with Jeff Loeb, the Halloween run? They're doing another Hush run. So I have actually seen these on the shelf. And I mean, if I was going to read the continuation, I would just buy it in like a volume, like a collector, like a collection of all the Hush issues. But it's just like, okay, well now you're just see, because those were limited story. I mean, this is like basic supply and demand, but you're watering down what made those special because you're like, okay, well now this is just a re-emerging character. Also, it kind of looks like what's his name, the Cobra from G.I. Joe guy.
Snake Eyes?
No,
or no, Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander. I don't know he just doesn't have a helmet. Anyways, yeah, you're just watering down what made that special. So now he's just a reoccurring character because it's, again, like, people don't die, and they're doing this too in Batman. They're like, oh, in Hush, maybe the Joker dies. It's like, no, obviously he's not. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they've run out of ideas, and
yeah,
and they're just rehashing stuff from when it worked, which I guess there's some logic there, but you can definitely need to take things, but it's always watered down. It's never as good as I think they're doing. The X-Men are good doing another Dark Phoenix run, but Miss Marvel is going to be the big hero, and so they're just ruining that shit like that. It's like you're not going to outdo Claremont, and they're still trying to push this Miss Marvel character that nobody wants. And
yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah,
they even pushed her in the Daredevil series. If you watch the new Daredevil,
oh no,
he ends up. Yeah, don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Matt gets chewed out by Matt gets chewed out by 3 or 4 different women. Kingpin is emasculated as well.
Again,
Matt ends up meeting Ms. Marvel's father, who brags about her. Oh, you've heard of Ms. Marvel, haven't you? And it's just an eye roll left and right. There's some decent action. There's a few decent scenes, and so there's a few things that, but it's nowhere near what the Netflix show was. Not even, no.
Yeah, well, again, it's like that's pretty much what I would expect at this point. So yeah. I don't. If you've been following this stuff, or you're a fan of these things or whatever, and at this point you're still surprised, like, oh, they came out with this new show and it's Daredevil Born Again or Reborn or fucking Resurrected, whatever, you shouldn't be surprised. Like, why would you be surprised? It's the same fucking people. They're hiring the exact same people to work on these shows. It's the exact same company. I mean, at this point, you have to be fucking retarded.
Season 3 of the Netflix show was Born Again, so they're rehashing it, and they added a bunch of characters that have no. It's honestly a 6 out of 10. At first, the first few episodes are good, and I was sitting around 7.5 out of 10, and by the time it ended, I'm like, this is a 6.
Yeah, they're just pushing. They're pushing their stupid shit to the second half. So you watch the first, it's like, oh, you're invested. You're probably just going to finish the series. Yeah. At this point, if you're watching this stuff and you have any expectation other than, well, I guess it's Marvel, so I'll watch it. I mean, you're kind of retarded.
I watched it at a neighbor's. I watched it at neighbors who, and he's like, "Yeah, come over and watch it." And
sure,
and by the end of it, we're both like, "God."
You shouldn't be hopeful. You shouldn't be like shocked when it turns out to be shitty. You know what I mean? Like, you should be like,
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked.
I mean, you're only wasting your own time at this point.
Yeah, and that's what I was doing. It's like, okay, I'm wasting my time.
You're just going to hang out with a buddy, whatever.
Let's see if they make I was basically waiting for them to make him gay, and then like for him and Kingpin to hook up.
Yeah, you're like
fishing.
You're like, how low can
shipping
this go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, why don't you have him and Kingpin just make out at this point?
Yeah, we should. We should pitch that to Marvel. They'd probably take it and run with it. They probably, Disney and Marvel would steal our idea. Be like, oh man, we didn't think about that. We could just have them making out. Duh. We'd be like, yeah, you idiots. Come on. Don't you really want to? I mean, you might as well.
They may,
Like, you might as well. I mean, nothing's shocking anymore. I mean, before we got online, I was telling you about that movie where they had like the tranny pope. It's just like, and we called it like out of nowhere. There was no setup even to it. We're just like, oh, I bet you it's gonna be like the plot twist is it's really a woman. And it's like, holy shit, they did it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, there you go. Like, at least we're being honest.
It's like the crying game.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, exactly. Well, and the thing is, like, there's nothing shocking anymore. So it's like, your shit's already, like, the propaganda and all the bullshit they're putting into these movies and shows, it doesn't even matter because we're already talking about this stuff. So it's like, there is no, like, slow boiling frog where you're like, oh, okay, well, we got to normalize this, and then we got to, okay, well, what's the next thing we're going to push? What's the next, like satanic perverted shit we're going to push and whatever?
Right.
Just do it.
What's the next franchise we're going to ruin?
Yeah, just do it. I mean, I would be more impressed, and I would be more inclined. I mean, I probably wouldn't actually see any of this shit still, but I would be more inclined to be like, oh my god, guy, like, back in the day when we're like, oh, William, Kyle, like, holy shit, did you see the new Marvel movie? Like, they had fucking Thor, and then Hulk came in. Oh my god, it was so cool. It would be like that, except completely inverted, where we're like, bro, did you see the new movie? Fucking Kingpin and Daredevil just started making out. They just started fucking French kissing in the middle of the show. Like, we
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, then it's like B movie stuff, It's like so bad
Right.
it's good.
well, it already is, but it would cross the threshold of, like, ironically hilarious because they just keep pushing more and more stupid shit in the show. But again, it would be more entertaining because there would be none of this, like, pussy beating around the bush, stuff. It would just be, like, completely mask off. Just like, why not? It would be more entertaining, frankly. Like, and you would piss the same fucking idiots off that you've already been pissing off for a decade. You know what I mean? Like, those guys, they're just literally looking for excuses to the point where they do it with some stuff that they actually shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like the critics or whatever. But
Right.
like, it would be more entertaining if they just did that kind of stuff. Like, it would be more meme worthy. I don't know. That's what I think.
Everything's a meme. Everything they're coming out with is a meme. Like, you can just make a joke, like you said, oh, they're gonna have a tranny pope, and sure enough, here it comes.
It
and,
fucking happened. Yeah.
It happened, and you know what? It could happen right now in real life. In real time.
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, and that's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do it because their retarded propaganda is almost in real time. It's not like, oh, hey, let's, like, again, boil the frog, and then, oh, they didn't accept this, but they accepted X, so then we're going to start pushing for Z until they accept what used to be Y. You know what I mean? Like, no. Like, they're literally like, oh, tranny pope. Oh, the pope just died. Huh. Let's start recommending, like, women priests or, whatever. Who knows? Just slip them in there.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, no one fucking gives a shit about any of these institutions anyways. But yeah, I mean, for sure in the TV and film, like, they should just do it. I mean, there's no standards anymore. Again, it's like when we're talking about the Fantastic Four, why even pretend? Like, you're just using it for the name recognition anyways. Like, these people frankly hate the source material. They hate everything that made it good. They hate the people that enjoyed it. They're like, fuck you. Like, in every industry, video games, movies, TV, like, board games, card games, they hate us. Like, it's just spite us. So why not?
It's all
like,
spite. Yeah.
Yeah. So who cares? Put in whatever, like, retarded, deviant shit that your brain can come up with, and it doesn't even have to make sense continuity wise. Like, why not put Batman in there too? Like, oh shit, Batman is in Daredevil? Like, he's not even a Marvel character. Yeah, but he came for the orgy between Daredevil and Kingpin. Like, fuck,
why not?
Yeah, why not? Like, again, none of the shit even matters at all.
I mean, that's our comedy today, is just making fun of this shit.
Yeah. So, anyways,
like, when it comes to the video game, like, they just released a remastered version of Oblivion, but guess what they did for gender? Body type A, body type B.
Yeah.
And so somebody made a mod for it on Nexus, and it was banned within 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So,
You know,
but they're all like AA indie people again, which is what we're doing, and we're coming out with stuff, and it's male, female. But like, I'm tired of just reacting to whatever these fucking retards push. I don't care. Like, when I talk to people, I mean, obviously I do care, but I don't care about like it's so fucked up that people are mentally ill enough and delusional enough to be arguing the difference of like on biological man and women. Like, things are so fucked up and inverted. Like, we've gone so far past like the differences between a man and woman that literally people are trying to argue that your parts are just interchangeable and you can just change. So like, I think like the normie, I don't know what I would call them liberals, frankly, but I guess you'd call them like MAGA and conservatives in this country. They're, to me, are just dumb. Like, they're low IQ fucking idiots, because they're literally just reacting to what's something that's so fucking retarded and delusional that you should just be laughing at people if they ever talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I have conversations with people, I'm not going to just start going, I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start by saying, like, I'm going to push way further so that, you know, if somehow, like, me and other people are talking about stuff culturally, then we can actually push back and gain ground so that they have to accept. Like, the middle then becomes where they have to give up ground, because otherwise women are leaving the workforce, they're going back home, they don't vote, they have fucking children. Like,
yeah,
we have segregation between groups, because clearly this multi-ethnic diverse society is fucking cancer, and it's destroying everybody, but no one wants to talk about it. Like, we were talking about the rise of anti-Semitism, like, all of that. That's what I'm going to be talking to people about. And if they go, whoa, I was just trying to talk about transgender, I'm going to say, great, you're a tranny? Okay. Like, go fuck the tranny. That's what most of these Republican guys, these MAG guys, are doing behind closed doors. Like, they're banging tranny hookers.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know. So, yeah, I'm good with that. Sorry, a little outside the realm of comics, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, so, but I
really don't think things will change. You know, unless things get broken up, and then studios and companies have to compete again and rely on the free market.
Well, they will, because China will crush them. Like, it's already happening in video games.
Yeah.
So, like, the more, it's almost beautiful. Like, it's pretty much inevitable. Like, so if people are pushing for a more global economic climate, then the power goes to other countries who are still nationalists or who have like their own cultural values and aren't going to like accept American bullshit, I'll just say. But right now we're not there because Trump is doing a lot of tariffs. He's feigning like America is going to become more like we're going to become more isolationist again, and we're going to become more self-sufficient. And if that does actually happen, then it's not a global economic situation. It's a multipolar economic world, in which case then America actually does have to compete against these other countries and cultures on the merits of what we're producing, not trying to manipulate people through our currency and economics, right? And like feign like we have this big military power that we don't have. So in the end of the day, either way, because we're still in a world where we have internet, like we can't really go back. and frankly, like, people don't want to. Like, you have people like Elon Musk and like a lot of the tech bros and people. So like, we still have total access to other parts of the world. Like, Steam isn't just gonna, unless something crazy happened, Steam isn't just gonna start removing Chinese games. So China, Russia, any of these countries outside of like Western Europe and America are gonna just make better products, and they're not gonna be like shitty Amazon. You know what I mean? They're gonna be good things.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna buy them like they're making better video games already.
Yeah, I mean, they have
So
a lot of they bailed out whoever made that
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, and
Yeah,
they
it
have
has like no players now.
They have those IPs for pennies on the dollar, and
Yeah.
rest assured they will utilize that, and they're not going to put any progressive stuff in them because China don't play that. They're in it for the money,
Right.
and so they're actually more capitalist than we are right now.
Yeah,
if that makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're interested in being the dominant world power. And how do you do that? By being a global economic power. How do you do that? By outcompeting the products and the culture that you export from your country. And they are, frankly. So
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong was the biggest selling game of that year.
yeah.
And it's a banger. And it's a
Banger,
Souls
yeah.
game. It's a,
You know
it's
what?
a
Yeah.
you know, I mean that is just being a Souls type game can be a very polarizing thing amongst gamers. Some people like it, some people don't.
But are you forgetting the better example?
Probably. Oh, you mean no, go for it.
Okay. Marvel Rivals is made by a Chinese company. So let that sink in. They're
That's
literally taking a license that was created in America, and they're doing better. Like, they're making a banger and crushing it better than in real time the company. Because Marvel is trying to. We'll use just video games as an example. What's the most recent Marvel? They did like the Marvel Avengers game.
They did Spider-Man 2.
I'm
the
sure.
Marvel
I guess
Avengers.
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
Yep. And DC did like the
And Marvel
Suicide.
Avengers died.
Yeah, they're awful. People don't play that shit, and they're just like the movies and TV, as far as like the cultural output. So all of this cultural rot that's pervasive in American companies, like, yeah, China's just gonna, and these other, I mean, I'm just using China as probably the most the most obvious example, are just gonna continue basically buying up the Western Empire. Like, like they're just gonna keep taking over everything because these like super left-wing multinational corporations, that's a mouthful, a bunch of weird oxymorons, but yeah, they're not ironically, they're not actually tied to America, if that makes sense, like, because they're still multinational. So even though they're basically in bed with the government, and we have like this weird like hush hush fascist society that we live in, like, other countries can buy them up. They could buy a giant stake in them. They could get their headquarters transferred. They could.
Yeah, I mean, they could buy.
They
can buy IPs that people no longer believe in. Even something like Marvel Comics or Star Wars, or buying for pennies on the dollar.
Right. It's just a fire sale of all of American culture. And the funny thing about Black Myth Wukong is, if they're not buying the IP, they've literally just proven that they can take something that's culturally Chinese, rip off the dark. So I mean, I say rip off because China's like really good at just like taking ideas, and reproducing them.
Oh yeah,
I guess kind of like Japan was like post World War II.
Yeah.
But China actually has the population. So, like Japan's gonna be dust in like a few decades. But I don't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, Black Moon's Wukong is a good example too, though, in the sense that they're taking an idea that already exists, like Dark Souls games. Souls-like games are great, and then putting their own cultural spin on it, and they're crushing it. So.
Yeah, and it was a good game. A lot of people enjoyed it, except again the SJWs because it didn't have enough of this, or that.
Right.
So.
Well, here's a secret for folks at home: SJWs are just bootlicking retards. Like, they're just Karens for. I mean, if you like look at it objectively, if you ever wonder why like all these articles and all this stupid shit is pushed out by these kind of companies, like these people are supposedly the biggest leftists, but are like the biggest proponents of the status quo. They're huge simps for corporations. Like, they're giant fucking bootleggers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It like, we live in really interesting times because in America you have like this left-right dichotomy, but people be doing a lot of shit that isn't left-right. like another interesting thing is like I've heard recently, just based on statistics, like younger left-leaning people, the people who are making up all these fake mental disorders or are mentally ill, the people who are like gender fluid, it's like when they virtue signal because it's popular to come up with like a different gender or non-binary, whatever thing that's based on a sexual perversion, statistically they're not fucking at all. Like, the vast majority of them are not getting laid, which is ironic because they'd call us incels anyways, besides the point. But like, so they're actually very conservative if you think about like, you know, and like especially with like STD rates on the rise from people in like Kyle and I's generation and stuff, and like especially the boomers. Holy fuck. Like the
untreated, very hard to treat STDs as well.
Yeah, all the bacteria resistant stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. I was just gonna make a joke about like a bunch of boomers fucking each other in nursing homes, because the STD rates in nursing homes are like through the fucking. It's disgusting. But a fun fact for people to research.
And by the way, I've heard people get busy in those nursing homes.
Yeah, of course.
Like, shit goes down there.
Yeah, that's why they're breaking hips.
That's why I'd never want to work. I'd never want to.
Oh anyways, man, imagine being a nurse there.
It's a story for another day.
Ugh.
I'd rather go to jail.
Yeah, a similar experience, baby. Well, you could say you're trans and get transferred to a female prison, so that's good.
Yeah.
And then you could be the one getting it on with them. Anyways, the point is, like, if you look at objectively the results, and you consider like SJWs are very cultish, like they have their own religion. They're actually very fucking religious, like, and they're very conservative, like socially, even though outwardly, like, they act completely retarded. You know what I mean? Like, outwardly they try to project all this shit, and it's like complete bullshit. And then you look at the quote unquote right, and it's a bunch of degenerate fucking faggot liberals. Like, behind closed doors, even though what they try to project is like, oh, we're very traditional and conservative, but like we all know the statistics, and like, you know, the people consider like someone who's like super homophobic is secretly like super gay, you know, and going to like gay bathhouses at night, and the senators who get caught, you know, trying to meet up with children, and they're talking all this shit. It's like, what is happening in the world? It's so weird. anyways.
Yeah, I'm looking at
interesting
something
times.
on Twitter from Bounding into Comics, and it's Amazing Spider-Man retcons Peter Parker's childhood. Reveals Bookworm was actually a beer-stealing troublemaker. So maybe you can go to Bounding into Comics and find that article. But yeah, here we
Sure.
go, folks. The guy that built your
Well-
house, you're gonna shit all over him some more. Good for you.
Oh yeah, of course, because well, a lot of culture and mythology is being eroded, and it's happening on both sides. So like, I'm not totally like, I don't totally care as much anymore. Like, I think as especially you and me, maybe not Kyle as much, but like as people like us, like-minded people constantly focus on what they would consider like the left and SJWs eroding the past. But people on the right are also like, we're definitely tearing down a lot of the mythology of the previous generations. Like, it's not just the left, you know what I mean? It's like all of American culture, like post World War II culture. So I don't know. I kind of look at it as like, yeah, take the good with the bad. You know what I mean? Like, we're kind of like in an era where we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I mean, it's kind of like how when people became very like nominally religious and secular and atheist, it's like they lost all the values that come with community and religion and tradition. But it's like again, going back to what I was saying about people on the left, I see more of them arguing for the same things that I would want as what I would consider myself as like hyper right wing. Like, I'm super radicalized. But I actually like relate more now, like literally these days, to people on the left. Like, we kind of talk about the same thing, but we just use different words and terminology. Like, Kyle and I can have like a 4-hour conversation about something, and it's like, you know, we may have to like define a couple terms, depending on like what slang we hear from what parts of the internet or whatever. But like, for the most part, we're kind of talking about the same things, and it's like, huh, well, that's weird. Like, you know, I wouldn't expect to like reach a resolution on like some subjects. So I don't know, maybe it's just because the internet isn't real life, but yeah, it's people are very much similar nowadays, or are flip-flopping than in the past, I'd say. So I think it also has to do with like millennials are just getting older, so like the ones that are having families, that's a big part of it too. Okay, so our last article, this is probably our main article. Well, maybe not, I don't know. I think this kind of stuff is very interesting, so this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a few weeks, and that is that Skybound is doing a public offering for their company. Like, they're taking it public. So Kyle, do you know what Skybound is? Let's see this.
I don't think I do.
Okay, so for Kyle and folks at home who don't know what Skybound is Robert Kirkman's, I guess you would just call media publishing company. So, like, you can see on the screen, I hope we don't get copywritten for this.
So he has like Transformers and G.I. Joe.
He's the guy who created Walking Dead.
Of course. Yeah.
So, and then Invincible is they have a new season out. I've been watching it.
I heard it's pretty good.
It's solid, yeah. I have to finish it and then I'll give you my full take. But so far, it's like, yeah. And I don't know if this is more a criticism of the comic or if it's the show, because I haven't read the whole comic series. But it's my biggest criticism of season 3 is it's like it's getting into a thing that I also don't like about other things, which is that characters don't fucking die. like you have heroes and
There's no
villains.
stakes.
Yeah, I'm getting divested of my interest in the show because I'm like, Jesus, this guy died like twice already. Like, why are these characters constantly coming back? And they just make up like, I mean, whatever. Like some of them are better excuses than other ones, but like one of the heroes dies, and it's like you completely ruined the emotional investment I had in that person's death, and they're just like, so they're like, have you been watching the show, William?
I
Have either of
watched
you
the
guys
first
watched it?
season. I haven't watched second or third yet.
Okay, Kyle, have you?
But
No.
I'm very familiar with his work. I'm a Walking
Okay.
Dead. I was a Walking Dead nut for a
Okay.
while.
So it's
And
kind of like
one thing I loved
Okay.
about Walking Dead is that you just never knew who was going to get it, you know, and that made it really intriguing. And the characters were people you cared about. I mean, when I left stopped watching it, it was, it got to a point where I didn't care about any of the characters. But the first 5 seasons, and what they did to Glenn, a lot of people quit then. I still stayed, but you didn't think that was going to happen, and that's kind of that shock value. It's hard to shock people, but he did that in Walking Dead, and doesn't seem like he took his own medicine. I don't know.
Yes, it's just like that. Whereas, like in Walking Dead, after season 5, you'd have like red herrings, or
you knew Daryl was never going to die, Michonne was never going to die, Rick was never going to die. They Dextered Rick and anybody whatever, and so there was, but Daryl Dixon was never going to die, and so they have plot armor. Certain characters developed this plot armor, and it became uninteresting to me. At that point.
So that's where I'm at basically in season 3 of Invincible. So anyways, so Skybound, part of their holdings, like William, you're saying, is they have like the new licenses for the Transformers comic. Like Kyle, at MegaCon, you've definitely seen Skybound stuff because they now have.
I'm sure I did, but I didn't notice what it was.
But they publish a lot of their comics through Image.
And I've heard nothing but good things about the Transformers comic and the G.I. Joe comic, that once they got it, they've been banging them out, and they've been pretty good.
Yep, I've heard the same thing. And I've also heard that Transformers and G.I. Joe are in a shared universe. So that's kind of cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because Skybound, they try to do some crossover stuff, but it's not like, oh, big event like Marvel or DC, like, here, let's try to overmarket and saturate this. It's just like oh, that's cool. It's more organic, so it's cool. So now they're so that's the context leading up to this. So they're probably the best publisher in comics right now. I mean, to be honest, like, in my opinion, if I had to say,
I would say them and Titan. Titan with their Conan.
Yeah, Titan's pretty good as far as like a bigger publisher. I mean, obviously they still don't have the same market cap as like Marvel and DC, but that could change because they're going public, and so they're doing like a crowd-funded, but unlike crowdfunding, like, you're actually going to own part of the company. And so right now they're doing like a 10% in like a bonus to invest. I like this shit because I like finance too, so it's like right up my alley. But it's weird also because like typically for public offerings you don't have this kind of like, hey, and I've seen it being marketed like all over Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and I think even X, like I'm getting ads for this. So it's kind of weird. So it's like interesting and kind of weird, and like I kind of posed the question, like, why do you, so like, okay, you have all these successful properties that have been made into, movie. Oh, that zombie movie recently. Movies, like hit TV shows, animated shows right now on Amazon, killing it, and like one of the few people killing it in comics. People who read the comics and everything. So why? So like, why do you need my money? um, that's kind of what William and I talked about a little bit offline about this. It's like, well, why? I mean, obviously, it's not a terrible investment because it's like, it's not like they're going to go out of business tomorrow. I mean, they've already been doing pretty well. So I mean, I guess we could look at some of the stuff here, right? So it's like, well, why do they need the money? Because you always want to spend other people's money, right? You don't want to spend your money.
Of course.
Or so I guess the idea is like, okay, well, they're raising a bunch of capital so they can go global.
But Titan, for example, would be a company I probably would consider investing in and getting into the ground floor because
sure,
it seems like, I mean, they have a great IP in Conan and they're doing great things. They got great people, and it seems like they really want to make outstanding comics. And Kirkman, this guy, his story is actually fascinating. He was $80,000 in debt, almost homeless, before the Walking Dead comic hit. He had failed and failed and failed and failed. TV, right? You name it, this guy failed every step of the way, and he was on the balls of his ass. And then The Walking Dead took off. And, so this guy has struggled. He came up the hard way, but he was dedicated, believed in himself. And that's definitely somebody I would think about investing in,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I can hurry up and sell my house, maybe if I have any money left over, I'll do the 10%, like, fuck it. If it's like $500,000, like, but I will say, as far as someone like I would consider myself pretty savvy about finance and economics. Like, you can always just buy the stock once it goes public. Now they're now saying, okay, yeah, well, you won't get the bonus, in the public market, but like, let's just, aside from the bonus, like, okay, well, how much are the shares? Oh, okay, well, shares are $105 right now.
Yeah,
and minimum
that's
investment
a little
is
steep. Yeah.
Yeah, so minimum investment is it's actually closer to like 1,100, but 1,050. So I'm buying 10 shares minimum at 105. I'm highly suspect that once this hits the public market, that this is going to stay at 105. I mean, so I guess I'm saying I'm pretty bearish on this.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't legally. This isn't investment advice. This is just my personal opinion. but like,
well, it could end up like what's that thing? They were trading at 47, and now they're $1. They're a penny stock.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think I know who you're thinking of.
They own Teenage Mutant.
Oh, IDW.
Heather Santos worked for him in
Oh, IDW?
Yeah, that's it. They were trading in the high 40s, 50s, and then they went down below $1.
Yeah, exactly. And they from what I've seen, they haven't declared bankruptcy yet, but we covered that on our show like months ago. We covered that. Like, they had a huge crash, and I think they had to lay off a bunch of people or whatever. And yeah, I don't know how they're doing now, but they're probably
not doing well.
Probably still on the brink of collapse, like Diamond. So
I think
far
they really tried to go after the Netflix type of let's make a
Yes.
Netflix show and it didn't quite take off for them, and they invested a lot into springboarding into streaming and instead of just making great comics. And they actually were, I think they owned Transformers and G.I. Joe previously.
Yeah. So some background about IDW is they and a handful of smaller publishers are trying and failing immensely at what you're talking about. Yeah, they're basically just hiring writers, whatever artists, whether they pay them or not, like IDW and some other ones that I won't name, but they just try to churn out these little like one shot, these little short graphic novel books or whatever, short runs into a trade. And then, like you said, that's basically their springboard. It's their proof of concept. It's frankly, it's just a storyboard, like a glorified production of a storyboard that they're then trying to pitch to. Oh, Aftershock. Aftershock was like that too. That's the one that lost a bunch of money. No, that's another one that declared bankruptcy.
Yeah,
there's so many of these.
Is it Dynamite? Is that another one?
Yeah, Dynamite, but they're doing okay. They have a license with Disney, so they're doing Disney comics. And then Boom is another one that has like the Power Ranger license. But the thing about like Boom Studio,
and they have Keanu Reeves comic.
Right, they actually have unique titles along with the license stuff. So it's people like IDW, that's all they tried to do. They had like Ninja Turtles, and they had these other licenses. And aside from the Last Ronin Ninja Turtles that did really well, their other stuff is just license. And if it's not good, which obviously it wasn't, they stripped the license. Like, sucks to be you, nerd. I mean, that's it. That's all you have. But yeah, a lot of these studios also try to do where if it is anything unique that they have to show for themselves, which you probably never heard of most of them if they do. It's just literally to go to like Hulu. That was Aftershock 100%, because they even had like, oh, could be a Hulu special or whatever. They'd go to Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, or whatever, and try to option their whatever one shot into a series. And Aftershock is the one I'm thinking of, where there was like a partnership. One guy is like the comic guy, and one is like some guy who has like connections in Hollywood, or a Hollywood producer or a lawyer or whatever. And so it would just be the comic guy's job is, okay, make all these little comics, and then the other guy is like, I'm going to use my connections to try to pitch these to infinite people so they can get optioned. And then when they buy the option to make this into something, then we make money off of that, and then we'll pay our artists and staff.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a horrible way to do business, because you're not a comic company.
That's kind of where Wizards of the Coast is going.
That's where Wizards is going, yeah. So,
That's exactly.
So, yeah. So Skybound is definitely doing better than that, because Skybound, through Robert Kirkman, they have their own IPs, not just the ones they license. So that's good. And looks like so far they've raised a little over $500,000. I mean, apparently I don't know if this is their cap or this is their goal. I assume that's probably their cap, which I guess you could say would be the goal, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, so personally, I would just wait till this hits the market. Like, fuck the 10%. I mean, maybe if you're going to buy, like, you're going to, like, cash out part of your 401k and buy like almost 100, you know what I mean? If you just have money to throw around because you're like a rich YouTuber or something, like I would do it if I was like an influencer, and just to see. Oh, look, and you also get just see like a crowdfunding campaign. You also get private dinner in LA with the executive team. See, this is the weird part about it, where it's like, oh, we'll do it like it's a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. It's like, but I actually do own part of your company. Like, especially if I own 20%, like I could be on the board. Like that's a control position right there.
No,
so,
what if you're Elon Musk? You just buy up every freaking.
Yeah, this is a drop in the bucket for Elon. If Elon wanted to get into comic books, he'd just be like, fuck it. Here's $3 million. Yeah. I mean, the guy's a billionaire. So, yeah. But, just for us regular people, like, I'm going to wait and see what happens once it actually hits the secondary market, like on your Robinhood app or whatever. And then see if it, I mean, I don't know, 105 seems pretty high for you gotta remember, like, yeah, it's a media company technically, because
not even Disney's trading at 105 right now, I don't think.
right, exactly. And it's like, okay, cool, you can go global, but what does that mean? Like comic books and toy? Like, I don't see how the global market for comic books is any better than
the profit margins are slim.
So, yeah. Oh, and there's something I wanted to show people that I originally looked at this. I researched the. I actually looked at their SEC filing because they have to have that. Like, you can see the filing. I'm not going to go in that. I don't want to bore everybody. We probably. Oh no, we still have our viewers. Cool. Okay. Anyways, I won't bore all you guys with that. But basically, yeah, of course they want to pump everything up. Like, oh man, look how good we're going to keep doing. We already did so good with these things. The best is yet to come. Yeah, is it? I don't know. So, yeah, venture capitalist, sure. What was I going to say? Oh, I looked at the filing, and they had the last 2 years. So another thing they're basically trying to pay for is all the loss and debt that they've incurred. So when you look at their balance sheet, they spent a shitload of money. And so 1 year they're doing really well, and the next year, they're doing not so well. In fact, they did very badly at the end of the day. So to me, if I'm looking at this company, I'm like, well, they don't exactly have a great track record of. I guess I would have to look more than like 2 years.
Of steady earnings, yeah.
Right.
It's very spiky.
Sense. Yeah, it literally is very spiky. So it's like, fundamentally, looking at the company, like, I would need to see more. Now, it's vague. Like, a lot of that could have been like loans to buy the licenses for, printing all. But again, that means they're raising money, pay off a lot of stuff, and I don't know. It's like, you kind of have to ask questions when you're looking at these kinds of things, like, well, are they trying to use the money to expand and pay for XYZ and become bigger and better, or are they just doing it because they need the money? You'll never know for sure. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, so so they do say they doubled their comic business of the 2 years they're showing, right? And they got G.I. Joe, Transformers we were talking about. Yeah, shared universe there. That's what I was saying earlier.
Invincible.
From Hasbro. Yeah, so, yeah, Invincible is his. So, well, look, they raised $4 million just in the G.I. Joe Kickstarter here. You could just do that. Like, well, yeah. I guess for expanding your operations and stuff, you need more than just that. But yeah, I guess they've got all the money from the Telltale Walking Dead game, so it's like, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he's
I
got
don't know.
he's fine. I mean, they're still making Walking Dead shit.
Oh
There's
yeah,
like
for sure.
spin-offs and I mean, I don't think they're milking that cow for everything it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. But the question is like, well, how much does he get as an individual versus how much does this company get? You know what I mean? Like how much? That's what I would like to know. I would like to see how much does Skybound own Robert Kirkman properties?
Yeah,
Like, does he license his properties out to them? So that's more stuff
I would
would
think he
have to
does.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the kind of stuff I would need to look more into, because then it's like, well, am I investing in you? Because obviously you're showing me all these cool things that you've done, but it's like, how much of Skybound is you? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question either. So I haven't done the research, and I noticed that fucking asshole Seth Rogen isn't here, so that's good.
Okay.
He Seth Rogen voices this one alien in the show, and he's fucking obnoxious because
Yeah.
he's Seth Rogen in everything. It's like,
Yeah.
like, can you please stop doing that?
And he doesn't
retarded
have the
voice that you do?
charisma of like a Ryan Reynolds, who
No,
Ryan Reynolds is
Why is
Ryan
this guy so
Reynolds and
angry?
everything, but I enjoy Ryan Reynolds, at least his it's whatever. I don't know what kind
Yeah.
of person he is, but
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
I hear things. You know.
Right. Well, and he's sold a bunch of different businesses that he's promoted and was part owner of. So, yeah, I don't know. So, but I thought that was pretty interesting because it's not every day that, you know, you get the chance to. I mean, even if you're not gonna, like, quote unquote get it on the ground floor, it's like someone's doing something at least in comics. You know, these guys are doing well and growing, so that's good. Like
Yeah.
the whole comic industry isn't completely fucked. So
No, and as some of the big two they've been downsizing quite a bit, and it can just increase competition for these other studios who hopefully want to do it right.
yeah, maybe they'll hire more finance people. Work at Skybound instead of my stupid boring day job. Probably not. Or also I don't know. I don't know if I would want to do that. Anyways, let's see.
They would have to get the SJWs out. You would never get hired there. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, if you look at the executive team, they've only got 2 women, so that's a start.
that's a start. All right.
And she's head of people and HR,
Uh,
head of Sky Animation Studio. Interesting, but she's like an old lady, so I'm gonna say +1, questionable, and then 1 Karen in HR.
some
Yeah.
wine mom who hates
retarded.
men.
Right, like, don't you have anything better to do? I don't understand these women that are like, oh, I started a coaching and leadership company. Like, fuck. Don't you have like grandchildren to hang out with? Go home and drink wine. Drink your box wine. Hang out with your cats or something. I don't know. Like, you want to coach people? Like, you can coach your children.
Them life coaches are a different breed. I've met a couple of them, and
they're fucking.
Yeah.
I got hit up on LinkedIn recently by one. I didn't even respond to the message. I'm like, if I need advice from you, from someone like you, I mean, I'm not saying this lady specifically, but basically this lady, like, if I need someone like advice from someone like you, I might as well just fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. Like, oh god, just time to end it now. Like, holy shit. I mean, if I wanted advice from a woman, I would ask, my wife or my mother or her mother. Probably her mother first, and not necessarily in that order. So, oh my god, it's just like I never take those people seriously. It's like literally their whole job is just talking to people.
They just spout cliches. They all have the same talking points. It's kind of like our media right now, our news. They all say the same thing.
Yeah, it's like if I wanted to boil down whatever I'm gonna pay you for consulting fees, I would just buy some shitty self-help book. Like I don't understand that at all. Like that whole genre of book, of lifestyle, of career, I don't get it. Like if I wanted to go do something, I would. Here, let me show you guys. There's this wonderful thing called YouTube. And on YouTube, oh look, there's Fantastic Four trailer. There's the Gooding trailer we watched a while ago. Like, you can just pull up YouTube, right? And you just say like, oh man, I really want to learn a new skill so I can, maybe I need to learn to code, okay? Okay, great. I would go, how to learn Python, or people use C# still, C++. Like, look, for beginners, see how that works? And then you just go do something. Like, you have to get off your fucking ass and go do it.
Right.
But that no one can solve that problem for you. All you're doing is paying someone money to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you've done something. So I don't know. I don't understand those people at all, but somehow this lady like fucked up and coached herself into a position as like a chief HR lady at the company or whatever. So whatever, good for her. Anyways, what time is it? 10:30. Kyle hop off already. Kyle, you want to talk about? Oh no, he's gone.
Kyle's gone. Yeah.
Goodbye, Kyle. All right, let's you and me hop over and talk about some motherfucking Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Oh man, I don't know if we even have time to. I don't know if I want to start this because I don't know if we have time to finish a conversation about D&D. Like, there's actually been some big news at D&D.
There's some news, and a lot of it's doesn't seem like it's good.
Well, I don't know if it's. That's the thing. I don't know if it's good or bad. Like, so Chris Perkins, he was one of the head designers, creative director for D&D. Him and Jeremy Crawford are gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and there's a guy. His last name is Cao, C-A-O, and he was the head designer of the virtual tabletop. And he's gone. Which
they just like quietly abandoned.
Yeah, right? they got rid of 90% of that staff.
Which is crazy. Like, I got a email, or I saw my feed about them trying to do like a closed beta. Like, I could have signed up for it, and I was like, should I do this just to like fuck around and see what this is gonna look like, or do it on stream or whatever? But then we saw it was either you told me or we looked at another article trying to figure out what we're going to talk about, and it's just like, nope, they did that. These guys are, hold on, what is he saying? A fairy tale ending. He's leaving after. I don't know. Like, I guess it all hinges on whether you think 5th edition and on was good D&D.
Well, I don't believe anything that they're reporting, and because like when they came out with the new edition, they called it the fastest selling.
Right. It's a lot of corpo bullshit speak.
Right. The best selling book in recent history is still Tasha's Cauldron of Everything by a lot.
Right. Well, it's not the highest grossing or the highest selling or the rank. They're not going to release the ranking and sales data. That's why they just say it's the best. Yeah, it's just a bullshit, like, I could put a sign out in front of anything I sell at an event and say, this is the best-selling product we have. Well, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's very subjective, you know? This is the best version of this game.
Yeah, they're not releasing any truth. So people are, well, did he retire? Was he clipped as soon as he got done with
right.
Designing 5.5 or whatever the hell they call it?
Right.
And then there's other thing. Well, the virtual tabletop that crashed, and they were banking a lot on that because D&D or Wizard of the Coast wants to make this a sub model. They want to make a subscription and all of that. And I think they know that this shit's not gonna work because tabletop and video gamers are tired of loot boxes and subscriptions and microtransactions and pay to win.
Right. Yeah, I want to know what their metric is for best selling. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, they never said best selling. They just said, and from what I understand right now, a lot of shops actually have a stock of these things.
Yeah, they can't sell them because no one wants to buy them. Yeah, it's well, and so the reason why I say this really hinges on whether you think the direction of D&D up until this point is good or bad. Because if you think D&D 5.5 is dumb and a bad idea, then you might be inclined to think, well, good, these fucking assholes are finally retired, right? Like, get them out of there. Whether they're just were told, hey, once you're done with this, get the fuck out, or if they were like, oh, fine, finally, I'm done, I'm leaving. Regardless of what happened and who was in the who was the aggressor and the person in the defense or whatever. Or you could think, like, kind of what you're saying, which is, okay, well, D&D was 5th edition was okay, and 5.5 is pretty dumb, but now they're just going even further. Like, they're going further off the deep end, and yeah, they're retarded if they don't look at the game industry, video games, and go, people don't like that, so maybe we shouldn't do that. If you can't look at another industry and then you try to replicate the same thing that didn't work over there, you're an idiot. I mean, there's not really anything else to say about that. So,
I mean, from what I gather from certain sources, so D&D used to be mostly developers, and they kind of ran the company, and now they're getting rid of all these developers, and it's mostly product managers now. So the buzz is that they're going to just work on licensing D&D as a brand.
Yeah, they're just managing.
So the game development might be left to third party or something like that. But as far as any innovations in D&D, I wouldn't. The future looks bleak.
Well, that'd be cool. I'd love to be a developer for D. We buy the license and we could take Shattermare Comics public.
Yeah.
Say we're raising money. We're going global.
But a lot of these developers have 20 plus years experience. Now, some of them, like Crawford, is the guy who incorporated a lot of the homosexual shit and stuff. I mean, he's the real woke tard. So for him,
right.
But some of these other people, they got rid of Mike Merles a couple of years ago, and that guy's brilliant. He worked on 3.5, he worked on 4.0, and tried to fix that mess, and he couldn't. And so they're getting rid of real talent with experience, and who they have left, I have no clue, but I can't imagine they have the hash marks that some of these other folks who have walked out the door have.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's why I think it's not necessarily a bad thing, because these guys who shouldn't have been there anyways are gone, So it's like, okay, Jeremy Crawford, fuck that guy, he's gone.
Yeah.
You know, this guy who was sitting next to him debuting all that 5.5 shit, fuck that guy, he's gone. The guy you were talking about, similar to video game studios, like that, all those people who were worth a damn have already left. They looked at the situation where like, fuck these people, this company sucks. In fact, that one guy just went on to make his own game and very successful on his end, you know. So it's like that. They spin off smaller studios, they make better products. I think we've already seen that. So the question is like, what idea do these idiots have running the company, or quote unquote just managing the IP? Like,
they want to license it as a brand, so I think it's going to be Baldur's Gate 4. I think it's going to be, but then they're the ones who fucked up their relationship with Larian. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, so you're kind of screwed because Larian's the best in the business at turn-based RPGs right now. They screwed that.
Well, is it safe to say that we're past the damage control phase, or no?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they can make another film. I mean, they were supposed to have a TV show about a year ago. That died on the vine. You know, so they got rid of Tracy Hickman and Weiss for Dragonlance books.
Are they still doing the animated show? When they're supposed to do a Netflix animated show too?
Yeah, that's not in the works. I have no idea where this company is coming from, and Hasbro is 1.5 billion in debt right now.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to license it out in somebody who has an idea, but it seems like Wizards of the Coast wants to step in like they did with Larian with Baldur's Gate 3 and say, no, you're not doing it right. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And Larian, they put some things in the game, but overall the game was a huge success. And then Wizards did not like what they did, even though it made them a ton of cash at that time, and clipped them. And okay, Larian's going to be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, Larian can use all the PR from Baldur's Gate to just be like, okay, now try our other game that we already had called Divinity.
Yeah, Divinity. So I really don't know if there is a future for this thing. I really think now TSR has been through this before. TSR, Wizards of the Coast, they died, and it was, you know, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast who bought them up and came out with 3.0, 3.5, and that led to a renaissance. And I have a feeling D&D will rise from the ashes, but who's going to be the one who does it?
This isn't happening though. Like, yeah, they're repeating the same history with 5.0 and 5.5, but it's the opposite direction trending. People aren't getting more excited about it; they're getting less excited.
No, they're moving away. I mean, Critical Role,
like they've already peaked.
Critical Role has moved away.
Yeah,
you know.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's really weird. Like, it's funny because Hasbro already licensed their stuff out. Like the comics are licensed to Skybound.
Yeah, and they're not making as many toys. And Magic the Gathering is like, out of all card games, it's like number 4. There's like a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh card games that are above it.
I have a card game to get to if we have time for it that I want to talk about, but we could always talk about it next time. Yeah, the Magic isn't like the dominating. I mean, there's a lot more card games in the market now, especially since COVID. So it's there's a lot more competitors. Yeah, especially by Bandai, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like
Pokemon. I think Pokemon has a couple that are in the top 3.
Yeah, Pokemon's doing very well. The weird thing is, like, some games are big on collectors and some are big on players. So like the card game market, they they measure sales by like sealed product, and then the cards, the individual cards, like who's buying product to open or collect or whatever, and then who's buying like the cards to play the game. But yeah, it's basically One Piece, Pokemon. I mean, this is in no specific order. It's One Piece, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, I think Disney Lorcana. What am I missing? It's probably Flesh and Blood. There's one or two other ones I'm probably missing.
And something like Flesh and Blood would probably be by a smaller company with less overhead. So
for sure, yeah. And then Sorcery is kind of like a weird one, but yeah, and Flesh and Blood's cool. I mean, Flesh and Blood is still, from what I never got into it because to me at the time I was like, that was kind of like a knockoff Magic or whatever. But I mean, it's still got, from what I understand, pretty big community, like pretty big competitive scene. So, and yeah, it's its own game as far it's not like owned by a big company. You know, it started out like Magic used to be. It's just Flesh and Blood. You know, and they built it from there. So
yeah. So I don't think there's much of a future for this current regime at Wizards of the Coast. I really don't.
Well,
the movie which we both liked, maybe made $10 million.
Oh yeah, it wasn't really popular. Like it was a pretty good movie, but like a bunch of people didn't watch it, so it didn't sell a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't a Minecraft. They were looking to hit a Minecraft or a Warcraft, where let's face it, the movies weren't great, but they hit a certain audience, and bang, you know, they made a shit ton of money. And D&D just didn't. The Dungeon Dragon movies didn't do that, even though I thought it was a fine film. You know.
Right. Well, here's the thing about a lot of these, and we kind of touched on this earlier, and this also plays into the, you know, what you want to call it, woke or SJW or just stupid corporate
progressive
communism or whatever. Yeah, it's all for what the company considers a strategy for the bottom line. So like, I mean, this is going to sound like backwards because a lot of these people are fucking political appointees, they're morons. But at some point, the reason why they're like, oh, we need to cater to a modern audience, blah, 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 blah. All of that's just speak or kind of code for we need to appeal for the widest demographic possible. Like as many people as we possibly can. And I was listening to something like recently or a couple days ago. And at some point, these companies will hit the market, the cap of the actual market, like the actual terminal velocity, whatever analogy you want to use.
Right.
They'll hit some sort of, like, they cannot keep growing. At some point, there's no one buying your fucking product. Like, all the people who were going to be interested in buying it are buying it, and there's no like magical audience that you can add in. And the reason why a lot of these people are also failing is for that exact reason, because of course when you're trying to appeal to like some bullshit 0.05% of the population, or just straight up doing it for propaganda purpose, like you're just alienating the people who actually liked the properties to begin with that you're just quote unquote managing. And so from a business perspective, like, yeah, if you don't, on the surface, if you're not really intelligent, like, it makes sense to appeal to a wide amount of people because everything's really fucking expensive now. And you have to make money. And in order to do that, you have to, A, be very safe and rely on what they consider dependable IPs, even though they're butchering them. And you have to sell to like 2 billion people. Because what you make is over bloated. It's full of people who are useless. Blah blah blah. Everything's over budget. Things cost a super amount of money to make. You have to pay all these people and these companies that you've acquired over the last, 10 years or whatever. So for all these reasons, like they're locked into these ideas and these strategies that are just not working. Like they're collapsing under their own weight because they're too big. They are failing, or they're going to fail, and their shit isn't making enough money. Like, again, just like you and I said, if you made the D&D movie for like a quarter of the price, or you didn't spend so much money on the marketing, or you just accepted that, okay, this is going to be a niche audience, so we're not going to make this like a blockbuster movie. We're not going to spend the money on this to make it. We wouldn't have cared. We would have seen it anyways because we're actually fans of fantasy and D&D. And guess what? You would have actually made a profit. But to them, they're like, oh, we have to write this off. This didn't perform well according to the metrics we're looking at, which is crazy. Like, the standards are too high, frankly. Like, they're setting themselves up to fail. And so I think that's what's happening. I think this is just another example.
It's a death spiral. They're in a death spiral.
Yeah,
Hasbro in general is in a death spiral.
Well, I think that it was Wizards. This is my hypothesis because I don't know all the insider information. I think it was Wizards who grew and then subsequently fucked up all of their IPs. And now Hasbro's come in to clean house and be like, look, the only way we're going to actually make money off of this stuff, because what you've done isn't working, or it's not going to work, or it's costing us way too much money, and there's no foreseeable return on like your crazy weird 3D modeling like your little pet project. They came in, they're like, okay, you guys are done. Get the fuck out. We're just gonna hire product managers and we're just gonna license the stuff out until we make our money, or blah blah blah. And that's what we're doing because we can't possibly make money off of this. So like someone had a dumb idea, or they had an idea that was like way too crazy to actually fulfill for what this actually is. I mean, we're talking about a fucking tabletop role-playing game. You know what I mean?
Which like, the profit margins are razor thin to begin with.
Yeah, like we're not talking about a rocket ship. We're not talking about a phone. You're talking about basically a book, a game that you play with dice and a book and some scrap sheets of paper, like at the fundamental level. What the fuck is this retarded idea that they have about, oh, it needs to be this, and like all these lofty, like what they would consider big brained ideas, like, but it's just mid-wit, like, oh, we'll just do it because blah 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 blah. Like, none of this shit is going to work.
Yeah.
So
no, it won't, and they're learning the hard way, and or maybe they're not learning at all. But the future is not bright for Dungeons and Dragons. But the good news is that if you have your books, you can just sit down and play and have a good time, and who gives a shit, Well,
and that's why I still am a big fan, like, of any of the other things that we talk about, where I'm like, yeah, this stuff's awful. Why would you blah blah blah? I still love D&D. I mean, it's sad because it's like something I enjoy personally, but also it's very resilient because the game is what you make the game. It's always been that way. It's always been it's been based off of your imagination. I don't think except for Baldur's Gate, except for the video games and maybe a module or two, I've literally never played, like, I've never played an ongoing or a long-term campaign in a WotC world. Like, I've never played in Forgotten Realms or in Faerun ever.
Do you know how we played when we were kids? I shit you not. Like there was no lore. Like
Exactly.
we got graph paper and drew a dungeon, and then just put
awesome.
monsters in the dungeon, and then you would have to find your way out of the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That, of course, again, it wasn't very creative. There was no story, but we were kids.
Right.
But that's how Gary Gygax and those guys played. And then he came up with Greyhawk. It started with a dungeon, and then he built a castle. And then from that castle, he fleshed it out to the realm of Greyhawk. But when I started, there was no lore. There was no anything. It was we had tablets of graph paper, and we would just make a dungeon with a straight edge, and just put random monsters in. Like there was like here, go. There's Demogorgon in there. Okay, like what the fuck is he doing here?
Right.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? And that's the essence of D&D. I mean, and ironically, that's higher, loftier than any of the shit they're doing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Gygax, when he was coming up with something, like he didn't know what he had.
No, he didn't.
He didn't know what he was making. A lot of these people who do this as a passion project when they're forming the beginning of their business, they don't even know how they're going to make money off of it. And like the essence of D&D is giving us a platform to come up with fun, exciting fantasy adventures using our imagination, but hiring very talented artists to provide us with stuff to fill in the blanks, because we aren't that creative. Like, I'll just be honest, we're not as creative as those guys. So them giving us like, you know, a much better in-depth version of like a 40K, you know, miniature battle game is incredible. And that's D&D. Like right there.
Yeah.
You know, giving us a world, like a sandbox to play, giving us the tools to make infinite sandboxes to play in. That's the beauty of that game. It will never change. I mean, that's what it will always be. Yeah, and I can choose to use a retarded mechanic for a wheelchair-bound character or not. I could choose to use very stripped down basic rules from first edition, like all the way back to advanced D&D if I wanted to. I could dive into the minutia of 3.5 and become a rules lawyer, and you know, like become a bookkeeper and add up all the modifiers and math and try to figure out the most optimal like min-max gamer build. You know, you could be a casual and play, you could be a super casual and play 4th edition if you want to, I guess, mirror World of Warcraft and
or
the
you
tabletop
could play
game.
something like Roll Master, which is, they call it Chart Master because it's
well,
but
I
the
mean,
critical hits are so much fun, man.
Well, yeah. Well, but here's where they fucked up, though. That's a good example because you're just creating a sandbox, anybody can do that. So unless you're a very intelligent, creative person at designing things, like when they fucked up the OGL, like that scandal a couple years back, anyone can come in and say, okay, well, we'll just do it better, or we'll offer the option for people to play the way they want. And
by the way, that may come up again. You know, if they get in dire straits, there may be another OGL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, the question is, what are they going to do about it? I mean, they can't really do much about it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, my point is, they can't do much about it in the sense that there will be other competitors. Like, other competitors will come around and outcompete them. There will be alternatives. you know, and the core fan base of D&D is a bunch of nerdy white dudes.
Yeah.
That's the fan base. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
White guys and Asian guys, you know.
yeah, true. Anyone who's good at math that understands per capita statistics. Yeah.
Oh, can I take a short break?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm chewing some Starburst. I guess this would be a good time to look at the Fun My comic, even though William should be here to talk about it. Look, everybody. This is what the Mercenary Guild Issue 1 crowdfunding campaign looks like on Fun My Comic. Wait, oh, never mind. There you go. Now you can see it. So, yeah, if you haven't picked up a copy yet, man, what are you waiting for? This is William's brand new title. Speaking of, you know, being creative and coming up with our own designs. Now that we're adults, we have enough experience to do that. We played a bunch of fantasy games, tabletop games, you know, and together as a team, collaborated on this book. This is kind of, this is William's baby, but I'm the uncle, in the sense that, like, I kind of poured everything I knew into producing a comic book, fantasy comic from Hardly Heroes into Mercenary Guild. Oh, by the way, we reached this stretch goal actually. I believe. Well, let me pull up the Indiegogo. Hold up. Wait a minute. 192. Oh my gosh, we're so close. It's complicated with multiple platforms. Oh my gosh, we're $120 away from meeting the stretch goal. So we always get in there and back, like, I don't know, 3 of these higher tiers. I mean, come on, someone just backed the sweet, what is it? Being drawn into the book. There you go. Boom. Only 2 or 3 left on this one. Get some sweet original art. Whatever page of your choosing that you want from Luke. Anyways, yeah, check it out. And the $1,000 stretch goal, by the way, is metal bookmark. So we're gonna take the bookmark that everyone's getting already. And once we get that goal, everyone will be getting a sweet metal bookmark.
Right, I'm back.
Cool. I've just been doing a commercial for the Fun My comic.
Pumping the book. Cool.
Yeah.
You know, so but more work.
So I just did the math. Hold on before I talk. I just did the math. We're like $120 away from the stretch goal, combining the Indiegogo and the Fun My comic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're very close. Very close. That's exciting. Anyways, so yeah, that's what.
Yeah, but more about Hasbro. So, like, Hasbro sells toys, and they're going to reduce that. And I don't think that a lot of their financial woes come from the toys they sell. Now, there was a quality issue when they made the Dungeons and Dragons toys from the cartoon. Mm-hmm. I guess those were very shoddy. But I think they learned and they're making decent toys. But the problem is they're making toys nobody wants based on current pop culture. You know, nobody wants female Black Panther or Shang-Chi or
Right.
You know
You
what I
have to
mean?
make toys people are interested.
Yeah. So they're making toys based on all these properties that aren't selling, and so now they're in the hole for that. D&D and Magic the Gathering has done what it's done. I mean, I think we all remember Magic making Lord of the Rings cards, and there's Black Aragorn and shit like that. So obviously nobody wanted that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Lord of the Rings, the Magic one was like, we got that reluctantly. We all kind of groaned. We were like,
yeah,
like they got Gandalf right, but yeah, like the Legolas is like an Asian elf. It's kind of weird. Aragorn's the black dude, and yeah, the Hobbits, I guess, probably look the best. Yeah, and then I'm trying to remember. There's a joke there about like, you made Aragorn black, but you couldn't do X, Y. Anyways, I don't remember where I was going with that. Yeah. So, but yeah, Magic's it's very up and down. It's weird.
And there is a third-party thing from Free League Publishing. They do a 5th edition. Well, they do the One Ring, which is a Lord of the Rings role-playing game, but it's a whole new system. But they also do a 5th edition conversion. So it's called like Adventures in Middle Earth, or so if you want to ever play, Lord of the Rings using 5th edition, they sell a book. Cool. They sell a book for that, and from what I hear, it's pretty good. And then they do make a separate role-playing game for Lord of the. It's a whole new different system. But if you don't want to learn a new system, they have a 5e Lord of the Rings.
Well, here's something I stumbled upon recently that looks pretty good. So we've got Dungeon Crawler Dark Quest 4. Inspired by, I guess it's actually going to be a video game, ARPG, but it's based on the popular game Heroes Quest. So Hero Quest is similar to that.
Okay.
Hero Quest is like a board game. Basically comes with most of what you would need to run an adventure. So it's like an adventure in a box or whatever. Like it comes with tiles and minis and stuff. But you could buy additional expansions that are basically just, a D&D module, right? But it's cool because it fits the niche of a board game, so you can get people more into it that are like, oh, I'll pick up this board game and play, versus like, I think that's the same one that TFM was actually talking about, where you can go back and do like older adventures and everything. So, but yeah, I would play the shit out of this if it's similar to Diablo. They have a trailer here, but yeah, just stuff like this, can't be. I know we shit on a lot of stuff, but it's like there is stuff out there that people are doing, and obviously it's, smaller studios or more independent people, but like you gotta give that a chance,
Well, so, Shadow Dark smashed all kinds of records on Kickstarter and stuff, and that's kind of a throwback to old D&D or OSR.
I've got that right here.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at that. Oh man,
I wasn't sharing. There we go.
Yeah, and so a lot of people have good things to say about that.
Here, this is the Dark Quest 4. Sorry, I wasn't sharing the screen before. So I mean, looks pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not, but we'll see. I mean, pretty cool though. I mean, like people are out here doing stuff. So, oh, that's funny. It's already a discount. Oh no. Well, they're doing like they already been doing a bunch of mods to Oblivion. You can play the original Oblivion; it's way better. But yeah, there's.
Yeah, I have the original Oblivion with all the X packs. So like, I don't need to buy this. I don't
install mods.
Yeah, I'm not a graphics horror anyways. I'm more of a gameplay guy, so
here's one that I don't remember if I showed this before that I was saving for a while. This random company came out with a Monty Python tabletop RPG.
oh, how about that?
Yeah. So, pretty cool. Not sponsored by any of these people. It's just interesting stuff that we found that's like, oh, well, there you go. So there's something cool or fun that, someone out there is doing. I mean, I don't know who these people are, but obviously they got the license to this. And they decided to make a cool little, RPG of that game. So there's definitely options out there. It's like, people if you do a little bit of research, you can kind of go away from just what's the popular thing. So that's what these companies, that's the thing they have to try to balance, is they just have to try to stay in the spotlight, and so that they can just basically, I don't want to say trick, but they can just persuade people that it's like, oh, D&D is the game, and to Wizards' credit, like, D&D definitely is more popular and like a household name, like way more than it's ever been ever.
Yeah.
So they did do that. Now, again, does that translate into actual sales? No. Because people just like to say that they know stuff, or, some girl like, oh, I love that. Like, they're just lying. I mean, let's be honest, for all intents and purposes, they're just lying. They don't know the first single fucking thing about it.
No.
I'm sure people have met people like that. It's like, you're like, okay, well, really, the name 3 character or whatever, name 3 classes, and they're just like, then why are you even saying that? So,
I mean, even in the 80s,
D&D
D&D was synonymous with role-playing games, and it was very hard to get people to try something new like Rollmaster or Middle-earth role-playing or something like that. But
I grew up hanging out at a game shop. We tried all kinds of different games. I mean, you had to already be a nerd.
Yeah.
But, like, it was at the point where, yeah, you could be like, okay, cool, we've got a D&D session on whatever day, but today let's all just try, hey, I've been reading the rules for XYZ, let's do like a one shot of this. So we did like Shadowrun, and I think maybe I did Cyberpunk at one point. Definitely did Star Wars. Legend of the Five Rings is big among like certain crowds, even though it's not like it's weird. That game had like a card game and a role-playing game and stuff, but it's like you never know about it unless you know. But anyways, yeah, like the Marvel or the Champions one, where you could basically, it was like the superhero one.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Champions.
So yeah, and then there's like a D20 Modern, which
I played that.
It wasn't Wizards, but it used the same mechanic, like 3.5 OGL or whatever. So it was pretty comparable, but it was cool because it was like you could use guns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was an RPG where you could.
Oh yeah, we
guns
got
and magic.
We got a lot of heated debates where it's like, I shot that guy with the 50 caliber, Desert Eagle, and it only did this much damage. That would have blown his whole arm off. It's like, just stop, okay?
Right.
It's like,
and you have to suspend disbelief, because you're like, well, then how does this guy with no body armor, that's the strength or the endurance character or whatever, how does he tank? He's the Constitution character. How does he tank all those 50 caliber bullets? It's like, well, obviously he wouldn't. It's a fantasy game.
Yeah.
Shut up, you get to use guns.
Yeah.
That was basically the answer. Shut up, who cares? Yeah. And then you had like the Dex character, who was the monk, obviously, or the rogue. Anyways, like, yeah, there's a bunch of those games, but yeah, you just gotta, find the community and try them out. Don't be afraid to just try out other games. But The thing, so I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm still conflicted because it's like I think this is still just the regular cycle. It's just like a different weird phase because you had Wizards. They brought D&D to a broader audience. They alienated the actual core fan base who actually does buy the books like religiously and plays and are fans like us. The modern broad audience doesn't really buy a lot of their stuff, just kind of like tangentially. They might buy like a t-shirt or whatever that Wizards may or may not even be making money off of. Like, right, they didn't go see the D&D movie. It didn't make that much money.
Right.
So now you're towards the end of the cycle of maturity of like, okay, well, it's got the biggest appeal it can have, and you've made all the money, but you've also shot yourself in the foot because like we're not buying stupid fifth like 5.5, so you're actually losing money. So I don't know. There's like uncharted territory because it's like
it is, but it doesn't look good for Wizards of the Coast.
Well, but
or Hasbro.
what if it does? What if they give it a third party and they actually make good D&D content though? Like I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where
there's lots of great D. I just don't know if a lot of people are going to convert to the new system, and I don't know if people are even going to make content for the new system because it's really not that huge a departure. And again, you have Tasha's cauldron of everything.
But this is why it could be a good thing because I don't give a fuck about those people. Like I would prefer D&D because I don't give a shit about. I'm not a Wizards of the Coast Hasbro shareholder, so I don't care about whatever stupid metrics they're looking at. I care about them firing a bunch of people and then bringing the game to a smaller niche level where it should be. It should have been the whole time. So if that's the case, and they have these third-party developers working on it, and most people don't even know that they exist, to me, that's a good thing. Because then people like us will go, huh, I've looked around, and you don't have to look hard, obviously, but people are lazy. Like, oh, I'm looking around, and I'm saying, look at these drive-through RPG. They're official, licensed D&D. Oh, who's this making it? Oh, the guy who used to be a designer who's doing the Shadow Dark, actually, they hired him back. He licensed it. Just like Skybound, right? Same thing. Like, some people have a license. They're awful. Okay, they lose it. They're not making the company money. Some people take the license, like Robert Kirkman. He actually knows what the fuck he's doing. He makes money, right? You get to keep the license. You know how to make a good transform. I would much rather,
like Free League Publishing makes some good. They're the ones who make the 5th edition Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
They have a number of other things, and then there's something called Grim Hollow, which is a I can't remember who makes it, but I've heard good things about it. Third-party campaign setting.
But it's a double-edged sword. That the thing about, but like clearly Wizards doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. So I don't really care at the end of the day that, like, yeah, it's embarrassing and pathetic, but I just want good D&D content. So if it's someone who actually cares about the thing, then license it to them. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a way better alternative than just waiting for this giant husk of a company to slowly go bankrupt for China to buy up pennies on the dollar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather them license it, because to me that's an acknowledgement of that they actually know they fucked up, and they go, okay, well, we can't handle this. We need competent people to do this.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll have little oversight, and it's a win for us. But it'll take a while, because just like the Transformers license bouncing around between like 2 or 3 different publishers, or Robert Kirkman got it, I think. We finally have someone making good Transformers content in the comic realm. So that's hopefully where they're heading when you're talking about them doing project manager. I mean, it would make sense, right? Because Hasbro's already doing it.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they do it with D&D if they're already doing it with their IP from Hasbro? Just makes sense. So, so I'm optimistic, but I'm not like, I'm neutral. I'm not pessimistic because I just think that we'll have to see, because it could either end up in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, or they shit the bed and then it gets passed around until someone picks it up who knows what they're doing. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. It could be the opposite of that. It could be very bad, but I don't know. But time will tell. We'll see. I mean, it's from what I've heard about what Robert Kirkman's done is probably the first time I picked up a Transformers book, a comic, a trade.
Yeah.
So it'll just be like everything else is, through word of mouth. So it'll get to you and me. We'll hear from people, or we'll be the people telling people, and it'll go back, the way D&D was supposed to be. Just like for nerdy guys like us who are like, oh shit, dude, did you see that he just came out with new Unearthed Arcana? Oh shit.
Yeah.
See, they just came out with a new, Baldur's Gate module.
And if it does die, there's plenty of games to play, even from the past. There's so many retro clones and whatnot that, if you want to role play something that doesn't have agenda in it, and or maybe not as crunchy as far as rules, or maybe crunchier, it really depends. Those choices exist right now.
Yeah, and honestly, it's probably the most choices you've ever had. Because you think about, like, most of the games used to just try to be, how can we be like D&D? Now it's opened up so much where, like you said, it could be as soft or crunchy as you want, or smooth, I guess.
People are leaving D&D because, and this happened to me with the first edition. You just get tired of it, and
sometimes you just want to try something else.
Yeah, that's it. And when we left D&D and went to like Rollmaster and stuff, it was way crunchier. But
for me, it was Pathfinder first edition.
Yeah.
And Pathfinder first. Well, sorry, go ahead. Finish it.
Well, one of the people who worked on third edition came from Rollmaster, Ice Enterprises. And so that's why third edition was a lot crunchier and it had a lot of character customization and things like that. That was never offered before in D&D, ever.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's similar to when I went to Pathfinder first edition, but I looked at it like, well, fourth edition sucks. And also, to me, it's kind of like a reset, because it's just refreshing to basically have the same kind of crunchy, like, not even necessarily the mechanics, but the really nice, deep customization of a character. But with Pathfinder, everything was fresh, so it was like a reset button. It was basically just a reset button on 3.5. Like, we all called it 3.75 as a joke for the longest time. And so it was like,
still call it that, yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like, well, now you have second edition, I guess, but back then, it was just a nice way to build a rogue. It's like, oh, cool. What kind of options now? What kind of feats do I have to build a rogue instead of in 3.5? Whereas, like, eventually, the meta of Dungeons and Dragons, because that's what we're talking about, the meta is solved. So unless they're going to come out with new content, which again, if D&D goes back to being what it used to be, that's all they have to do. Is just basically release new patch updates. Although it could die, like you're saying, mainly just because of AI. Like AI could just become a DM for you, you know. Anyways, but so back then it was like, okay, cool. Well, the meta's basically solved. Like I can go online, or I've talked to people and I know what the best build is for this character. I know what to pick at this level. You know, you had all the build guides. That was like, okay, well, if you want to do this or that just like a video game.
Yeah.
And so when Pathfinder came out, it's like, oh my god, look at all these new possibilities, these new ways to break the game, these new ways to build, you know, the best social character. Look at all the skills you could get, you know, all the new skill interact. So yeah, so I mean, you know, and then there's games like that now, I'm sure, especially with what you're talking about, where you've got like kind of like parallel games, especially if they're using the 5th edition mechanics. So you're gonna have
like Shadow of the Demon Lord and Shadow of the Weird Wizard.
Right.
Schwab worked on 5th edition, so it is a stripped down 5th edition.
Yeah, like those are perfect examples.
Like Shadow of the Demon Lord is way stripped down. The Weird Wizard makes it more heroic. Characters are more survivable, a little bit more crunch. But if you want to play, you know, dark and gritty, then Shadow of the Demon Lord is the way to go. And if you know 5th edition, this is going to be a snap to pick up.
Yeah. And like I would prefer to play one of those instead of like Pathfinder 2nd edition, because as I'm getting older, I don't care about all the extra. I mean, all it is to me is just like it amounts to just a waste of time, because like I don't really care at the end of the day by having an extra +4. You know, I'm not like trying to hunt for all these extra tiny modifiers. It's like
X,
yeah, that's why I like 5th edition, because it's like I have advantage or I don't. Like, how can I get advantage? Well, there's a bunch of different ways to get advantage, but you're only ever gonna get the one advantage. It's not like, you know, obviously there's some exceptions, but like generally speaking, the rule is you get advantage or you don't, or you have disadvantage, you know, or you could have advantage and they could have disadvantage. It's like, but there isn't like, I have a +2 because of this feat. I have a +2 because this class feature. I multi-class, so I have a +2. I'm in the certain terrain.
It gets very bogged down. Where Shadow of the Demon Lord, you get boons and banes, which is basically advantage, disadvantage, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. You don't need to.
So, and there's no feats. Every path has a special ability you'll get at a certain level, including your race. So you start at 0, and then you choose your path, and you get a certain whatever, and then you choose another path. And every level means something.
The funny thing is that's what they try to do with 5.5. It looks like, if you compare it to like.
Yeah, I think so. But they added a lot of crunch with the weapon masteries and shit like that, where. Right. So what? Every time I hit somebody with a long sword, I slow them, and there's no saving throw for them, or like there's all these, or there's one where it's graze, where even if I miss, I do my strength damage.
Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff is great, because D&D, that's something D&D has never really explored. Like obviously, you have like magic items and buffs through like enchantments and stuff. But like weapon upgrades or weapon skills, like weapon specialization, that really isn't explored a whole lot in D&D. Like,
no,
mostly it's mostly just the weapon. And like when you take all the like class features out of it and stuff, it's this weapon does a D8 slashing. It's like, okay. And then some weapons have like special feature, but you know what I mean? It's like very static. So I like that those games added progression. It sounds like for like weapons and stuff, which is cool. That makes it more like a Dark Souls kind of thing, or like a Diablo kind of thing.
Yeah,
I mean not Diablo,
I
but
don't
you know
know.
what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I guess in Diablo you have, like sockets. I'm trying to think of Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is like that.
Yeah.
So more like Monster Hunter or whatever. But
Rollmaster had that. You could specialize in a weapon and then do some
that's
serious
cool.
crits and stuff like that.
Serious crit weapon trees, basically. That's what we're talking about. Weapon skill
you would
trees,
choose weapon skill sets, and if you use that weapon, that was your chance to to hit and stuff like that. It was really cool. But
nice.
I don't know. I think the healing in D&D is off the charts, but I was reading the DM's guide from 2014, and you can make it grim and dark. You can extend the rest. So a short rest is once a day, and a long rest is once a week. So you can really. I think it's page 267, somewhere around there, and so you can actually make D&D more challenging in that way. Otherwise, people take a short rest. Okay, they get all their, it's like, what's the point? Unless you're doing a hack and slash adventure where you're fighting every minute of the day. But that was 4th edition, and I don't ever want to go back to that. I want something more story driven in my campaigns. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't need all the extra mechanics getting in the way of playing the actual story or having the fun with the group, with the boys. So
yeah, I mean that's what we did in middle school. It was like, okay, you come to this, there, kill that, kill that, kill that, kill that. And the fact that D&D is still based on your advancement is based on what you kill, whereas like Shadow the Demon Lord, it's the end. It's when the DM says, okay, now everybody goes up a level. Maybe you finished a campaign, or you finished whatever, or
it's milestone stuff.
Yeah,
that's from 5th edition. Yeah, I think milestone is actually a great idea. The only problem is that it's much more dependent on the DM because, like, they have to really understand the pacing of the story that they're doing and the campaign to give you progression where it makes sense. And that means like they actually have to put thought into at what point like you level, because it's like, okay, well, what's the climactic part of of the story or whatever, whereas experience is just easy. You guys had this encounter, there's a table, it's right there, the math is done for you, and you should be about this experience to fight this boss, because if it's this thing out of the monster manual, you're going to need to be that level, so I'll just make sure you guys level by then. So they're both good, but I think good.
No, it's just that you get people who, there's a bunny rabbit, kill it, it's worth 10 experience. It's like, come on,
right?
Dude.
And that's what milestone is good for, because you take the annoying like neuroticism out of those players where they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna literally game the system, I'm gonna fucking, it's like the South Park episode, the joke where they're playing World of Warcraft and they literally
and they go kill boars all day.
Farm boars. Although I thought at the time, because I was a nerd, so at the time I was like, wait a second, this is bullshit. You'll get like the diminishing returns of killing things in the starting level will basically be such that you don't actually get any experience at a certain point. But no one got that because most of the kids didn't play World of Warcraft, so I was like, okay, whatever. It was still funny, but that's that. Just I'll just take advantage of this exploit or this game mechanic. It's like, no, that's not the spirit of this. So Yeah, there's always those guys. But yeah, I don't know. I'm getting tired, so I think I'm ready to wind down.
Okay.
We've gotten to all our articles surprisingly, so this was fun.
All right, man. Well, yeah, I'm ready to bail too. I got to get up early.
Yeah. So,
And then
thank you so much.
Do you want to talk about we'll talk about the map later, as far as like what to highlight, or maybe I'll come up with something. I'm beat, man.
Oh yeah, no worries. I gotta go to bed and get up to do my presentation tomorrow. So, okay, cool. Well, yeah, we'll call it there, and then we'll catch up, you and me, offline later. But yeah, thanks everyone for sticking around, all you X people.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
If you're a real life person and not a bot, please go also click a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and like on X, I guess, if you can do that. That will help us immensely, since right now we just do live shows. So, and I don't know how that works in the algorithm, but I'm sure if you like and subscribe and do all the follow and everything, that probably helps, right? So
it won't hurt.
It definitely won't hurt, yeah. So do that. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much for hanging out and listening to us rant and banter about D&D and shit, comics. So,
hey.
Oh, and go pick up a copy of Mercenary Guild so we can get to the $1,000 stretch goal.
Absolutely.
Tell all your
get
friends.
Some free shit.
Yeah, you will. You will get some sweet free shit. I tested out the guitar pick myself. I can confirm the guitar pick is awesome.
Yeah.
So nice and thick.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else you want to mention before we go away?
Nope. Just want to say thanks and buy my book.
Yeah. All right, folks. See you next time. Goodbye.
Right, good night. Hello, I'm William, the author and creator of Mercenary Guild, the kick-ass new 3-part dark fantasy comic by Shattermare Comics. We're very excited to bring you titles like Mercenary Guild and the new groundbreaking horror sci-fi graphic novel, Victor. For the email newsletter, please sign up at shattermarecomics.com and receive exclusives upon each launch. Then check out the latest issue of Hardly Heroes. Don't forget to grab the physical copy of Lucas the Mucus, written by the great TFM. Oh, and we have anime titties as well. Thanks again.